Okay, colleagues, I suggest that we're starting now. So good morning and good day to everyone from my side again. My name is Valentin Rudloff. I will be moderating the session today from the CTCN side. I'm a climate technology specialist with the CTCN and very much looking forward to this session today with everyone. It is the first official engagement of the UNFCCC technology mechanism with the Eastern European NDEs, this time virtual, next year in person. So we're very excited about that. I will be quickly going through the agenda with you for the day. We have 4 hours ahead of us, but we are making it as interactive and as light as possible with a little coffee break in between as well. We will be starting with opening and welcome remarks, followed by a tour de table to get to know everyone who's in this meeting today. Thereafter, we have a few warm-up questions prepared for you with Mentimeter, so please make sure that you have your smartphone next to you so that you can scan a QR code that will appear on the screen. After these warm-up questions, we will dive into 2 blocks of quite informative sessions. First on the introduction of the UNFCCC technology mechanism, followed by a Q&A, and then a training on CTCN procedures, where we will go through different templates of the CTCN. Then followed by a coffee break, and after this coffee break, we will start revitalized a bit into the second part of today's agenda. Starting with technical assistance case studies from the region. We will hear from Georgia and from a technical assistance in Serbia. Then we will pick your brain a bit and understand what your regional priorities and your national priorities are. We will first start with Mentimeter interaction again, and then get into a discussion round. And then we will wrap up with a preview of the Regional NDE Forum for Eastern Europe and a wrap up and closing remark at the end. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Steven Minas, who is the chair of the CTCN Advisory Board, for opening remarks. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Valentin, and good morning, colleagues. It is a great pleasure to be here with you as we begin this very necessary engagement with the Eastern European parties, and particularly, of course, the non-Annex 1 parties from Eastern Europe. So I do welcome you all to this introductory session of the NDEs from Eastern Europe. And this, as I've already mentioned, is something that is really overdue in terms of the CTCN having this structured attention on the region. Of course, across Eastern Europe, economies have diverse circumstances, but the same goals of modernization, moving from the carbon-intensive industry towards cleaner and more efficient and more energy-efficient methods of production. Of course, there are also shared challenges and shared risks in the form of heat waves, drought, flood, threatening infrastructure, livelihoods, and agriculture. So we do face urgent challenges of both adaptation and mitigation in the region. And of course, if we think of Europe more broadly, Europe's climate transition, Europe's energy transition is, of course, incomplete without Eastern Europe and certainly without the non-Annex 1 parties in Eastern Europe. There is also enormous potential in the region, of course, enormous renewable energy resources, enormous technological potential to be harnessed to improve livelihoods and, of course, to contribute to the goals of the Paris Agreement. So the CTCN, since its beginning, has indeed supported countries in Eastern Europe through targeted technical assistance in a number, certainly not all countries, but a number of Eastern European non-Annex 1 countries, as well as capacity building. Up until now, 11 technical assistances have been delivered in the region, focused strongly on energy systems, buildings, and infrastructure. And to highlight just a number either completed or in progress, in Serbia, CTCN supported the progress of modernizing district heating systems in Belgrade. and energy efficiency improvements in buildings. In Georgia, CTCN has been helping to develop an integrated forest fire monitoring and early warning system using innovative remote sensing tools, and building very much on that experience. A new technical assistance project is under preparation in North Macedonia for the enhancement of the country's wildfire information system. So examples such as these, which show how targeted support can deliver practical and high impact results, and indeed how peer-to-peer learning across countries can strengthen climate action across the region. But of course, more can be done, and that is why we are here today. The CTCN is adopting a more structured approach to strengthen engagement with the region and with each of you. NDEs and today's webinar is really the beginning of that renewed engagement. It's certainly a starting point. There's a lot more to come. At the recent 26th Advisory Board meeting, the Advisory Board of the CTCN agreed to advance engagement with NDEs in Eastern Europe. And I do take this opportunity to pay tribute to our colleague Ketevan, the Advisory Board member from Georgia, who's been a tireless advocate for the region during all of her time on the advisory board, and certainly this is in part a result of that advocacy. So we look forward to having this dialogue today and to welcoming you again to the first in-person NDE forum for Eastern Europe, which is going to take place next year. The goal is clear, to empower each of us to harness greater opportunities for climate technology development and transfer in the region through technical assistance, capacity building, and cooperation. And indeed, we begin this journey today, as already mentioned, with a focus on what is the technology mechanism, within that, what is the CTCN, and how we can build collaboration in the region. So the CTCN is there as a resource for all non-Annex 1 parties, and I think there should be no exceptions to that. Eastern European countries are entitled to make use of this resource, and what we are doing here is trying to facilitate that so that the CTCN can be at the service of all of the Eastern European non-Annex 1 parties. So I do encourage you to ask questions, to engage in follow-up discussions with the Secretariat, and let's make this a starting point for a collaboration that will help deliver real practical projects in each of the countries involved. So thank you very much, and back to the Secretariat.
Thank you very much, Stephen. We will now proceed to a tour de table. We will all have an opportunity to know who's around the table, who's in the meeting. Could I ask Anna, because I can't see the participant list right now, to go through the participant list in alphabetical order? Please, over to you.
Yes, we will start with Aysel Razayeva. I apologize if I pronounced it incorrectly. Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon to everyone. You pronounced it very correctly. Aysel Razayeva. I'm from Azerbaijan. I am newly appointed, actually from the COP29, appointed as an NDE of Azerbaijan. I am head of subdivision at International Cooperation Division of the Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources, but have 15 years experience on environmental impact assessment, strategic environmental assessment. I majorly focused on climate technologies, actively participated in TNA events held during the COP29. At the moment, you know that Azerbaijan is part of the 5th Global Cyclone TNA, and I am the project coordinator for this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aysel. Next, I see Haik Margaryan from Armenia. If you can please introduce yourself.
Yes, hello, dear colleagues. Thank you so much. I'm Haik Margaryan. I've been leading the National Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. and the board of International Chamber of Commerce and chairing the Trade and Investment Commission. So within the last many years, I've been coordinating technology transfer processes in different fields to build technology mechanism, including climate technologies, green technologies, etc. in Armenia, and I'm very pleased and honored to actively cooperate and build programs together.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I can see that Marina is also next in the list. I will introduce her on her behalf. She's Lungu Marina from Ministry of Environment, Republic of Moldova. We understand you cannot connect to your mic. Nice meeting you, and we look forward to the discussion. The next I have in list is Masho Haknelidze. Please take the floor to introduce yourself.
Good day, everyone. My name is Masho Haknelidze, and I am the head of the Climate Change Division at the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Agriculture of Georgia. I'd like to thank all organizers for bringing us together for this meeting, and I look forward to meeting you in person next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Masha. And now probably a quick round of introduction from CTCN Secretariat, and we have Maya, who's representing Tech Secretariat today. I will quickly ask Ariesta to introduce herself.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I'm very, very pleased to have you here. My name is Ariesta Ningrum. I'm the director of the Climate Technology Center and Network based in Copenhagen, and I'm really looking forward for a productive engagement today, and as well as for the next years when we can meet in person. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then we have Javon and Tenten, who represent the capacity building and network team. Javon and then Tenten, please take the floor to introduce yourself quickly.
Good morning, colleagues, everyone. This is Jaewon from CTC, and I'm Capacity Building Specialist. I'm based in Songdo, Republic of Korea, CTCN's Partnership and Liaison Office. Look forward to seeing you in person next year through many various programs that we will support the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaewon. Tenten?
At the CTCN, and I'm happy to be joining the NDE forum today. I'm here to answer any questions related to network engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. Then Valentin, over to you.
Yes, as introduced already earlier, my name is Valentin Rudloff. I'm a climate technology specialist with the CTCN, mostly managing the mitigation portfolio in Africa and Eastern Europe. So very much looking forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you. Before I pass the floor to Maya, I'll introduce myself. My name is Anastasia Turmenko. I work as a governance and communication specialist for CTCN, also based in Denmark with Tenten and Ariesta, and look forward to the fruitful discussion today and working with you in the future. Maya, over to you. Please introduce yourself.
Good, thank you, Anastasia. Good afternoon, colleagues. Maya Faradze from the UNFCCC Secretariat. We're supporting the Technology Executive Committee based in Bonn, and we also look forward to working with you.
Thank you. And I hope I didn't miss anyone. We also have Stephen today with us. He already was introduced. He's the chair of the advisory board to the CTCN, to the Climate Technology Center and Network. Stephen, if you want to say a couple of words to introduce yourself, please take the floor.
Sure, not much more to add to that, really. So the current chair and representing Greece on the advisory board, which is not so relevant here, but of course I'm very happy to see a focus on Eastern Europe in that capacity as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. And with that, we conclude toward the table. Also, we expected to have more participants, and this is why we recorded today's session, which will be accessible through the CTCN website and YouTube later on. If you have questions, please raise your hand. I pass the floor to Valentin to continue the moderation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and a pleasure to meet all of you. Next on the agenda is a warm-up questions quiz. So please pull out your phones now and scan the QR code. Let us know if you have any challenges with scanning the QR code. If you don't have a phone at hand, then you can also type on your browser menti.com and paste the code that you can see here in the bottom right underneath the QR code. Meanwhile, I will switch the screen. You will see the QR code again on the other screen as well. So don't worry about it. And we can get started in a minute. I can see 5 participants active at the moment. I'll give you another 30 seconds to scan. This is mostly a quiz. I have to say mostly for the participants. So there will be a few questions specifically dedicated to the participants. But please, everyone else from the secretariats and Stephen, please follow along. But perhaps don't type anything. Don't answer, because then it will alter the questions, obviously, or the answers, the statistics. Did everyone have a chance to scan the code and is on the page? Please notify us, just unmute and say if you struggle to access the QR code. Okay, I take this as yes, everyone is fine, so we can get started with the little warm-up questions. First of all, really to warm up, how are you feeling today? Only emojis are allowed, so there everyone else can participate as well, please. Okay, somebody took the dog for a walk this morning. Fantastic. Generally good mood, maybe a bit tired in the morning. I can see this crying smiley. I don't know how to interpret that. Fantastic. Okay, so I think we're set up. We're set up with a good mood. So let's go to the next question, and they're specifically focused on our Eastern European NDEs. Has your country ever benefited from a CTCN technical assistance? I know that some of you are new NDEs, so even if you are new NDEs, well, let's play it like that. You as an NDE, have you ever benefited? Probably some of you are very recent, so it is going to be a no. But if you know that your country has benefited in the past, please put yes, nevertheless. So far, 3 answers. If I remember correctly, we have at least 4 NDEs in the group here in the meeting. Do we leave it to 3 answers? Okay, so we have a 3 no and 1 yes. That gives us a ground to work on. Going to the next question. Have you ever been part of a CTCN capacity building activity? Capacity building includes NDE forums, it includes different thematic dialogues, also that our Palo office is organizing, for example. We have 3 answers so far. A 4th answer still needs to come in. Okay. Again, the same statistic, 1 to 3. Now, the next question. On a scale of not familiar to very familiar, how familiar are you with the CTCN processes? Meaning the request for technical assistance, the response plan, how implementing partners are engaged, how you work with implementing partners, what types of benefits the CTCN can provide you in terms of technical assistance, capacity building, etc. Okay, I hope that this 1.8 will improve after the next presentation that focuses specifically on CTCN introduction and also the following presentation on procedures. Now, finally, put in words what your expectations are for today's event. We'll leave you a bit of time for that because you need to type. You can also put several expectations, so several submissions. Don't need to squeeze it all in one box. Exchange, learn, and connect to bring active CTCN engagement to my country. Receiving more information, getting to know other NDEs and CTCN team, to know more about the CTCN activities. I'll give it 30 more seconds if there's more additions. To know the role and mandate of CTCN tools, what responsibilities of NDEs are, and ways to interact. Fantastic. Well, having prepared the next presentations, I can tell that most of these will be answered, so that's great. But we will also have a Q&A session after each session, so after each presentation, so we'll make sure to answer all these questions properly. With this, I would close the first Mentimeter, the warm-up questions. Thank you very much for your participation, and we will dive right into the first session on introduction to the UNFCCC technology mechanism. So the UNFCCC technology mechanism was introduced or the COP introduced 3 pillars of climate change in 2010. Including the UNFCCC technology mechanism, the UNFCCC financial mechanism, and the UNFCCC capacity building. On the right side, you can see the setup of the UNFCCC technology mechanism, which aims to enhance action on climate technology development and transfer. The technology mechanism is composed by the Technology Executive Committee, which is the policy arm. We will hear from Maya from the tech in a minute as well. To get a bit more information on the tech, but generally the tech recommends and addresses technology policy issues and facilitates the development of technology planning tools. And on the other side, the Climate Technology Center Network, CTCN, is the implementation arm with 3 core services: technical assistance, collaboration and stakeholder engagement, and network and capacity building. Both the tech and the CTCN share the national designated entities, so the NDEs that you represent for your countries, and interact with you vividly for the different services that the tech and the CTCN are providing. Currently, the technology mechanism is in its third program of work on CTCN side, 2023-2027. Both the CTCN and the tech have a separate program of work and work plan, but also several joint activities and common areas of work. And these common areas of work include national systems of innovation, water, energy, food systems, energy systems, buildings and resilient infrastructure, business and industry, and technology needs assessment. And some of the joint activities include technology and gender, NDCs, technology roadmaps, digitalization, artificial intelligence, and several events and meetings, stakeholder engagement, and communications. Now I would like to hand over to Maya for the next 2 slides on the tech's mandate.
Thank you, Valentin. To walk you through some of the mandates and the functions of the Technology Executive Committee, basically it is that the TEC mostly develops the policy papers and the knowledge products on different aspects of the technology development and transfer, both for the mitigation and for the adaptation. Also, it provides an overview for the country's climate technology needs and analyzes the policy and the technical issues related to climate technology development transfer. Also, within its policy papers and knowledge products, TEC provides the recommended actions, so-called recommendations, to promote the climate technology development and transfer. Not we, but the TEC also recommends the guidance on the climate technology, promotes and facilitates the collaboration between the climate technology stakeholders, including party and non-party stakeholders, such as NDEs, which you all are representing at some point. Also recommends the actions to address the barriers on the climate technology development transfers and seeks cooperation with the different stakeholders to promote coherence across the technology activities. And of course, that catalyzes the development of the use of the climate technology roadmaps and technology action plans, which some of you are developing within the technology needs assessments. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of the rolling work plan of the TEC, it's currently the rolling work plan runs for 2023-2027. We will be updating the rolling work plan of the TEC in next years to come for 2028 and 2032. At this stage, the work plan has the two kind of big areas of work or work streams, so to say, not two, sorry, four work streams. For example, the work stream 1, it covers mostly the national system of the innovation, collaborative RD&D, and the general purpose of the technologies. Work stream 2 mostly is oriented on the technology needs assessments and the technology planning tools to support the implementation of the NDCs. Workstream 3 covers the area of the transformative and innovative solutions, where there has been work on the early warning systems or on the buildings and infrastructure, on the industry, and so on. And Workstream 4 is more about the collaboration and engagement within the UNFCCC processes, bodies, and the UN agencies, such as, for example, collaboration with the operating entities of the financial mechanism, with the GCF, JF adaptation funds, UNEP, and so on. The work plan of the TEC was heavily informed by the parties' guidance, which we are getting at the COP, usually also by the mandates and functions of the TEC, by the technology framework, by the science, and particularly by the IPCC reports here, also by the NDCs, climate goals, SDGs, gender responsiveness, mindfulness of the resource implications, and programmatic approaches, of course. So it has been quite wide in terms of the being informed from many sources, and therefore the work plan itself is really covering a lot of directions, taking into consideration all the aspects that I just highlighted. Next slide. I think this is all from the TEC, right? And I'm giving the floor to Molly, as I understand. Thanks.
Sorry, back to Valentin. The notes were not updated. Fantastic. Okay, taking over for the CTCN's mandate. So as mentioned before, the CTCN is the implementation arm of the UNFCCC technology mechanism, and it serves to stimulate technology cooperation and enhance the development and transfer of technologies to developing country parties at their request through small-scale catalytic projects. The key services offered by the CTCN are threefold. Technical assistances that are tailored to the request and the needs of developing countries, designed to overcome barriers to deploying climate technologies. I will give a few examples later of different types of technical assistances. The second key service offered is network and capacity building. We are empowering countries through skill development and knowledge transfer through different types of formats, regional, global, thematic workshops, and so on and so forth. And finally, information and knowledge sharing as well. CTCN has a quite extensive climate tech portal, ctc-n.org, and also publishes and co-publishes different publications and delivers webinars. As you know from the name, the CTCN also includes an N, the global network, and this network is composed both of NDEs and also of the network members. So in total, CTCN today engages with more than 160 countries through their nationally appointed climate technology focal points, known as NDEs. And the CTCN services are supported by leveraging the expertise of more than 900 technology companies and institutions that are part of the network. We'll get a bit more into the network later on. Also, you'll be invited also to promote this network amongst your national institutions that definitely have also capacities, competencies, and expertise in different areas of climate technologies that other countries could benefit from. So more on this later. The CTCN is currently in its third program of work, 2023 to 2027. And this graphic shows what are the priority areas in this third program of work, starting with the 2 enablers on national systems of innovation and digitalization, continuing with 5 system transformation areas. So the focus until 2027 will be water, energy, food nexus, buildings and infrastructure, sustainable mobility, energy systems, and business and industry. Quite broad, so a lot to benefit from, and by harnessing cross-cutting issues, including gender, indigenous communities, and youth considerations. So to illustrate this a bit more, we will dive a bit now into the technical assistances. And I promised you that I will provide an overview on the different types of technical assistances. So here you can see 5 different general areas that CTCN is supporting: technical assessments, so research and development of technologies, piloting and deploying in local conditions, feasibility studies, CTCN supporting governance and planning, sectoral roadmaps and strategies, for example, capacity building. So most of our technical assistances include stakeholder engagement, trainings, and workshops to have also capacity transfer to national institutions. Tools and methodologies, including decision-making tools, information provision. You've heard during the opening remarks that CTCN is supporting, for example, early warning systems. So these are typically tools that can be developed through CTCN technical assistance. And finally, implementation, so collaboration with financial mechanism, private sector engagement, and market creation. And we will have examples for all of these on the coming slides. First of all, since 2014, CTCN has received 439 TIA requests from 115 developing countries globally. Alone within the last year, more or less, so October 2024 to September 2025, 32 technical assistance projects were completed. On the right-hand side, you can see an overview of the portfolio of technical assistances. Quite strong focus these days on water, energy, food nexus because of a kind of larger program with the adaptation fund that CTCN is coordinating, but also buildings and infrastructure, business and industry, and energy systems. Some fewer projects in sustainable mobility. Now specifically focusing on the region, since 2014 to 2025, the CTCN has delivered in total 10 technical assistances plus 1 GCF concept node that was developed. So this is the 11 technical assistances or projects that also Stephen mentioned in his opening remarks. 50% of those technical assistances were buildings and infrastructure, whereas 20% each were cross-cutting, energy systems, and then 10% sustainable mobility. Here you can see an overview of the different technical assistances delivered in the region over time. So generally, Georgia has been quite active in terms of coordinating technical assistance with CTCN over the years. More recently, North Macedonia will be benefiting in 2026 from a technical assistance, but then a lot of the engagement kind of happened between 2017 and 2019. So after that, we had a bit of a drop in the region, and we are very happy to revitalize this a bit. We have in particular also two countries that never benefited from CTCN technical assistances, Montenegro and Moldova. So also very happy to support these countries in the future through technical assistances. Now, let's dive a bit into the 2 enablers and 5 system transformation areas, and I will give you a few examples of technical assistances CTCN has provided in the past and different capacity building and knowledgement activities that were conducted. Now, starting with digitalization, in terms of technical assistance, CTCN has developed an agrometeorological information system, for example, for decision-making in the agricultural sector in Mali. On capacity building in 2024, we had a regional thematic program on artificial intelligence for climate action that was delivered globally. In terms of knowledge management, the tech has developed several information nodes and knowledge products on AI for climate action. So please make sure, if this is an area of interest for you, to check out the website of the tech to access these knowledge products. In terms of national systems of innovation, the CTCN has supported Zambia with the development of a framework and roadmap of the NIS to foster low carbon and climate resilient economic development. Several capacity building activities were delivered, including bridge building workshops and learning visits that foster the national system of innovation. And finally, the tech policy paper was developed on good practices and lessons learned on setting up and implementing NSI, including 6 country case studies. Overall, I'm sure you're all quite familiar with NSI. It's a key enabler in the for climate action, for obvious reasons, that it is not only about adopting technologies, but is also about developing and adapting technologies to a local context that will benefit the country not only in climate action but also sustainable economic development. So creating these endogenous capacities is really essential, and CTCN and also the tech is here to support this process. Now, starting with the 5 system transformation areas, starting with water, energy, food nexus. We had a number of technical assistance in the past. One here that we highlight is the formulation of Kenya's 2020 to 2030 National Agroforestry Strategy. But we've also done a lot on the intersection of the water, energy, food nexus and digitalization, including aquifer mapping, including, as I mentioned already, agrometeorological information systems, and so on and so forth. In terms of capacity building in 2022, we had a global thematic program on innovation in the water sector. And for knowledge products, we developed a tech brief on climate technologies for agri-food system transformation. Continuing with buildings and infrastructure. In terms of technical assistances, we also have a number of projects in the past on green building standards. Here, examples mentioned from Timor-Leste on formulating the National Electricity Grid Code and the definition of net metering policies. In terms of capacity building, we had a session on co-creating collective solutions, network engagement program. In terms of knowledge management, I think the tech is currently working on something in the buildings and infrastructure space for 2026, if I'm not mistaken, Maya. She's nodding confirmingly, so I take this as a yes. Perfect. On sustainable mobility, CTCN has provided technical assistance in the past, for example, in Bangladesh on developing a framework for real-time transport information systems for the public transport in Greater Dhaka. Capacity building, it's the same workshop mentioned earlier. And for knowledge management, a tech brief was developed on gender responsive technology and infrastructure for sustainable urban mobility. Now, 2 more to go. Energy systems. CTCN has developed a number of projects on leapfrogging markets to energy-efficient refrigerators and distribution transformers in the Southern African Development Corporation region. Beyond that, we are working a lot on biogas. For example, we're also working on green hydrogen. In 2023, a capacity building workshop was delivered on green hydrogen in the different regions, and there's quite a number of technical assistances that evolved from this capacity building workshop. And finally, a knowledge product was developed on green hydrogen technologies for system transformation, including 10 examples of national strategies, plans, and projects. Now, wrapping up this overview of the different areas of system transformation with business and industry, their technical assistances recently have focused quite a lot on hard-to-abate sectors such as cement. We have supported, for example, the Republic of Congo on implementing energy audits to monitor and reduce GHG emissions in the cement sector, currently also supporting different countries in developing cement decarbonization roadmaps. So definitely an interesting area of work. In terms of capacity building, different events took place in the past, including GCF Private Investment for Climate Conference and voluntary technology talks specifically focused on LDCs and SIDS. And finally, the tech has developed a brief on integrating hard-to-abate industries in the process of preparing and implementing NDCs. If I remember correctly, there's 2 or 3 publications that recently came out on hard-to-abate industries, including the chemical industry, cement and steel. So definitely worth a read, these publications. Also, in terms of cross-cutting activities, CTCN has done a considerable amount of work in terms of gender mainstreaming. We are promoting gender-responsive climate technologies, equal access, and women's participation through the Gender Policy and Work Plan. The CTCN has introduced a gender and climate tech expert roster on the CTCN website that is available for implementing partners to identify gender experts for technical assistances. And since several years, the CTCN is also supporting the Gender Just Climate Solutions Award, recognizing grassroots initiatives that empower women and advance gender equity in climate action. In terms of youth engagement, CTCN is supporting youth through the Youth Climate Innovation Program, which is a global program to help young innovators between the age of 18 and 35 to develop solutions themselves for their communities through a global innovation program. So kind of a staged program from idea to incubation to acceleration that brings forth some considerable and really innovative solutions. And finally, in terms of indigenous communities, the CTCN is collaborating extensively with WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, and the UNFCCC IPO teams to identify, document, and integrate indigenous technologies into WIPO's database, ensuring their preservation, accessibility, and recognition within the global intellectual property framework. Wrapping up now with the technical assistance part and diving into network and capacity building. First of all, I would like to elaborate a bit on the CTCN network. As of October 2025, CTCN has 958 network members. Over half of these network members represent private sector organizations, as you can see on the right-hand side in the graph, followed by research and academic institutions. Geographically, the network members are located in Asia Pacific with 33%, Africa with 12%, Europe and America with 43%, and LAC with 12%. We don't have, or I don't have at hand right now, a breakdown for Eastern European countries, but definitely something we can look into. The CTCN network is open for any new members and it is free of charge. You simply have to click on the link that is mentioned here on the bottom of the slide to get more information and start the process to join the network. Generally, you can see here some of the criteria. So the institution joining the network needs to be one of those institutions mentioned here. I will not mention them all now, but overall institutions of different types, for-profit, non-profit, public, private, that are demonstrating capabilities in projects and initiatives aimed at development, transfer, and deployment of climate technologies. And institutions that are operational and organizational stable, that can provide an evidence of financial, human, and other resources, and so on and so forth. So please feel free to promote the CTCN network amongst your national institutions. What network members are engaged for are mainly to bid to technical assistance projects, to implement these projects that are requested by other countries, and to also be engaged with through different capacity building formats that the CTCN is delivering. We are always open for any suggestions and ideas that network members have in terms of collaboration. So definitely some good opportunities that institutions can gain from joining CTCN's network. Finally, under network engagement, I would also not like to miss mentioning that CTCN is collaborating with the financial mechanism and other financial institutions as well to scale up and finance the results of a CTCN technical assistance. You can see some of the institutions that CTCN was in touch with and has collaborated with on the right-hand side here. Generally, I can mention 3 best practices for securing scale-up and financing of the results of CTCN technical assistances. First of all, coordinating with UNFCCC financial mechanism focal points from the GEF and GCF, as well as with Adaptation Fund at a national level and international level. CTCN aims or supports that process in coordination with the GCF Secretariat, but obviously on the ground, in your countries, realities are always a bit different. So it is very effective to have a good tie to the other UNFCCC financial mechanism focal points and other DFIs and IFIs. Another best practice is to develop the request and response plan with a clear next step for scale up and financing in mind. For example, by preparing pilot projects and concept notes for some of these mechanisms, and to ensure an early engagement and inclusion of national and international financial and development institutions during the implementation. But we will get more into this in the next presentation on CTCN processes. Now coming to the capacity building aspect, since inception of the CTCN, 466 capacity building activities have been delivered. That's on average 3.8 per month. You can see on the right side some of the different capacity building activities that were delivered. Most of them are in-project activities, so it means part of technical assistances of national projects, followed by web-based seminars, 32%, then followed by tools and handbooks that were developed, followed by technical meetings and forums, and finally trainings and workshops. In total, more than 4,600 individuals benefited from capacity building in the past. Now, several capacity building programs are generally offered or proposed by the CTCN in total, including global thematic capacity building programs. So those are regional tailored programs facilitating multi-regional and country TA ideation. This includes, for example, those on artificial intelligence and so on and so forth. I will get to this on the next slide. The second type is network engagement programs, specifically targeting SIDS and LDCs, followed by international RD&D by the international RD&D program, which engages global research institutes to the existing and rising partnership opportunities from private sector, and lastly, the stakeholder engagement programs, which include the annual NDE forums for in-person bilateral with CTCN as well, and direct collaboration with financial mechanisms including DFIs, MDBs, and MCFs. Now, a few examples on the capacity building programs. Over the last, let's say, we limited it to 2 years now, we had different thematic capacity building programs. These are just a handful of them, not a complete list. In 2023, we had a 3-day learning visit on SF6, sulfur hexafluoride, most potent greenhouse gas used in electric transmission grids and distribution grids. This was done in collaboration with different technology providers and financial institutions in Germany. In 2023, the regional specific program focused on green hydrogen. It was delivered to 105 NDEs to share theories and applications on green hydrogen. Then followed in 2024, the region-specific program focused on AI for climate action, delivered to 94 NDEs to build awareness and on mitigation and adaptation opportunities and regulatory and environmental challenges of artificial intelligence. And this year's regional-specific program focuses on climate finance, delivered to so far 83 NDEs, because there's still one program coming up, one regional program, to deepen the understanding on leveraging climate finance for technology implementation. Now, this is one of the last 2 sections, I think, information and knowledge sharing. A very short section here just to highlight that the CTCN website and resources are quite extensive. You can browse on the CTCN website for different resources. Equally, also, I've mentioned tech brief, so please also make sure to browse the tech brief or the tech publications, and please feel free to sign up for our monthly newsletter of the CTCN and follow the CTCN on different social media platforms. Always good to stay in touch, and as NDEs, as our NDEs, we would obviously appreciate if you can spread the word and share the different content and opportunities that the CTCN and also the tech are sharing on various platforms. So it would be fantastic to engage with you on these platforms as well. Now, one question that came up during the warm-up questions was, what are actually the roles and responsibilities of NDEs? And we will dive in this last part of this presentation a bit more into that. And to give you some background, there are 2 decisions specifically referring to the role of NDEs, starting with Decision 4, CP13 from 2007, invites parties in a position to do so, to identify and designate their national entity for the development and transfer of technologies, and to communicate this to the Secretariat by the 14th session of the Conference of the Parties. And then Decision 14 CP .18, 2012 Doha, invites parties to nominate their national designated entities for the development and transfer of technologies pursuant to Decision 2 CP17, Annex 7, and Decision 4 CP13, Paragraph 8, and to communicate this information to the Secretariat by 29th of March 2013 in order to facilitate the operationalization of the Climate Technology Center and Network. Now, what are exactly the roles and responsibilities of NDEs, of non-Annex 1 NDEs in particular? They are fourfold. First of all, to act as national technology focal point. This includes a number of specific actions, including engaging national stakeholders on climate technology-related activities to identify collaboration and synergies, to facilitate interactions between CTCN tech and in-country stakeholders as needed, and to ensure the integration of climate technology issues into national, sectorial, and local development plans. The second overarching role is to manage the national submission process for technical assistance requests to the CTCN. We will get more insights and some practical demonstration also later on. So this mainly includes leading in-country consultative processes with key decision makers, providing guidance and oversight for the development of requests that are well aligned with CTCN support, and to monitor the effectiveness of CTCN assistance. The third role is to increase collaboration and networking opportunities within the CTCN, including through network membership, So to disseminate information to in-country organizations on the opportunities to participate in the network, as mentioned on the previous slides, and to serve as network member and act as liaison between other national network members and the CTCN. And finally, the fourth role is to contribute to increase information and knowledge sharing through the knowledge management system. So to provide the CTC with documents and information that are relevant to the knowledge management system. Now, a few other NDE engagements, just to mention them briefly. You will be invited to participate in the NDE forums of the UNFCCC technology mechanism, so annually organized regional NDE forums to provide updates on CTCN tech activities, share emerging topics, receive feedback from NDEs, and map their needs. You will also be invited to submit your answers to a biannual NDE survey that aims to collect feedback from you on ex-post impact of CTCN tech activities, map needs, and understand your level of awareness around the role of NDEs. You will also engage with the UNFCCC technology mechanism. Or your additional task is also to coordinate with other climate change related focal points, as mentioned before. This includes, for example, the GCF NDA, the JEF focal point, Adaptation Fund focal point, and so on and so forth. And finally, to provide feedback and update on technical assistances. Here we introduced recently a post-implementation form, which aims to follow up on the results of technical assistances after their conclusion. So there will be 2 moments where we would ask you to provide an update on what happened after a technical assistance in the country. Now, finally, there's a specific process to notify changes of the NDE. Well, some of you are more recent NDEs, so you're aware of this process. But basically, if the country details are changing or the focal point is changing, you are invited to contact the UNFCCC national focal point through secretariat at and copy secretariat at UNFCCC.int in order to notify the secretariat of the change of the NDE. And with this, my long first presentation, sorry that it took quite some time, is concluding, and we're passing to questions and answers. And we're actually right on time, so that's fantastic. Yes, please, Isa.
Thank you, Mr. Valentin Radlo, for this insightful and very informative presentation. Actually, we got the first assumptions, how the NDEs work, how the CTCN work. My question is regarding the forum, which we are planning for the next upcoming year. How the forum activities will be decided? What kind of events or activities will be included in forum, and the duration of the forum, whether it will be 1 day or in person and 1 day or 2 day? Because as far as I understand from this process, not only the forum will be enough for our regions, the training, seminars, workshops will be needed to us to train our NDEs, including me, for example. I would like to know how this mechanism works and what is the other countries, other regions' experience. Until now, in several regions, we heard from our colleagues, there were various forums in Asia, in Latin America, but it would be first for Eastern Europe. We are very interested, me personally, what is the experience of those NDEs? How they communicate with their government authorities, includes a network. For example, it is you have 51% of network comprising of the private sector. So you are engaging the youth to the process. You have the plan for the youth engagement, how they can be supported, for example, youth with their startups, plans, activities, rather than the government, because we are representing the government authorities. Actually, we are siding it. And if any activities, we are communicating with social communication tools, means of communication. So we are sending letters, they provide their needs somehow, including, I can say that through the TNE process, we are doing the same issue. But what about the private sector? What about the other? So this is the experience. I think that rather than the forums, we need to have the regional training, seminars, and workshops. Please, thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. Ariesta, please take the floor.
Thank you so much for the question. But before we are moving to answer that questions, we also have a new, while Valentin was doing the presentations, I think there is another NDE who just joined us. So perhaps I would invite Theodora or Bradovic to actually introduce yourself before we move to the Q&A. Okay, perhaps like Theodora is still off, but please jump in whenever it is a good time for you to introduce yourself. So thanks so much, Aisel, for the questions, and there is a lot of things to unpack there. Just for your information, we actually have a separate specific session designed to discuss with you on the preparations for the NDE forum for the next year. For the Eastern European region, right? I think it's going to happen after, sometimes a bit later, closer to the end of the NDE. So we can actually dive in there. But just to give an illustrations of how normally NDE forums work, we of course apply what we have learned with the organizations of the many NDE forums that already happen in other regions, and we have quite extensive experience and which we can pull together in here. But considering like how for the Eastern Europe NDE, this is going to be the first time, we could also engage you earlier on in terms of like the preparations of the agenda. So we want to make sure that this is really fits into your needs. And I think this is already happening anyway. Normally, in other parts of the region, the NDE forum is done back-to-back with the capacity building workshop. This is done in order to, of course, integrate the learning. You mentioned about the learning earlier, and the topic of the workshop is normally also based on the information that NDE provided to us. So 2 years ago, for example, it's on the artificial intelligence. Last year it was last year it was in artificial intelligence, and this year it was on the climate technology project financings, because a lot of NDEs that have attended NDE forum have indicated this is an area where they feel that they could have a capacity building. So looking into that, perhaps we can discuss a bit further in the last sessions of today. And so then our design for the next year's Eastern Europe NDE forum will be quite inclusive. We also realized that not many, some of the NDE could not make it today. So perhaps like we can also find a way to think about, maybe it's through the survey, you know, so that's not finalized everything by today, but we really appreciate your comment, suggestion, and especially also how to engage the private sector as well. Thank you.
Perhaps to just add on that in terms of private sector, other NDEs or best practices from other NDEs is also to organize, for example, national workshop in order to stimulate awareness around the CTCN opportunities, both for benefiting from technical assistances, but also engaging as network members. And if needed, there's also logistical support that the CTC can provide in order to, financially support or operationally support this engagement. Happy to share more about this later during the presentations. J1?
Yes, thank you for the floor. If I can piggyback on what you've just mentioned, Ariesta and Valentin, we've seen different reactions from the NDEs in terms of their experience when it comes to them attending our NDE forum and capacity building programs. It differs by region because they have a certain set of different priorities and they have a different objective how to best utilize this avenue of in-person gathering. So up until here, this stage, we've been only providing the in-person engagement through the NDE forum and capacity building programs. And we expect the same format and the model of the delivery to be continued in the future ones for this region as well. If you can consider hosting of this program, I think that would be the first step to set the objectives together. Some NDEs, those who hosted our program, they focused on regional coordination. Therefore, they wanted not only the NDE, but also the NDA to be there, which changes the logistics and the budget allocation and so on. Some of the NDEs wanted to use NDE forum and capacity building program to link the finances. So the NDEs took the very active role in engaging private sectors from their region or from their countries to engage in this dialogue. Some of the NDEs focused on knowledge sharing, where they focused more on inviting network members from the region and the countries. Therefore, there was a certain set of sessions within the forum and the capacity building program where the network members came in and then pitch presented their ideas to the regional NDEs, those who gathered. So it really depends on how you want to use it. And we are here to discuss that together with the NDEs from the region. So most of the time, the host country will provide the venue, catering and translation services. All the other budget is so put it through a CTCN. But if we can bring a different financial supporter to the venue or to the program, it makes much more fruitful because we can gather more people. There's another way of doing it, which is through the in conjunction with the climate weeks. So
I
that
think
will be
J1,
discussed with
if I may,
UNFCCC.
it would be best is actually to be done in the next agenda, so we
really?
can focus back on the reactions to the presentations, a basic function of the CTCN, technical assistance, network engagement and capacity building, because we have a dedicated session on that. Thank you. Valentin,
Sure.
back to you.
Yeah, please, if there's any more questions on the technical assistance examples, for example, that were provided or any other information that was provided. Also, if you have any other questions coming up later, the slides will be shared. So please feel free to also reach out to us afterwards. Okay, if no more questions, I would see if our colleague Theodora is able to unmute now. Would you like to introduce yourself? We give it a second try. And if you have challenges unmuting, please feel free to also introduce yourself in the chat. Otherwise. And then if no more questions, I'm happy to move on to the next agenda item, which is the training on CTCN procedures. So we will take the next on about 30 minutes to dive a bit deeper into the CTCN procedures, specifically focusing on technical assistance process. So allow me to share my screen and the presentation. And there will be a number of also of templates that we will be looking at now. Okay, wonderful. So the technical assistance process is following 5 steps in total. It starts with the request submission. So we will see the request form in a minute. This request will be evaluated within 2 weeks from our side, depending on the clarity of the request. And then an answer will be provided whether this request is eligible and prioritized or not. After the request submission, we will move to the response plan design stage. During this stage, the CTCN team will develop in close coordination with you a response plan, which is like the terms of reference, basically more detailed than what was mentioned in the request for the project. And this process usually takes up to 4 months, plus minus. And it provides provided that the necessary information is available and key stakeholders are responsive. Usually, we are calling for a meeting with the key stakeholders at that moment to understand a bit better the context of the request and the specific requirements. Thereafter, a bidding process is following. Usually the CTCN is following UNON procedures for this bidding process. It's a competitive bidding process that takes about 6 months. Sometimes also a bit more, unfortunately, because of administrative procedures, but that's more or less the aim. Project implementation then follows in step 4. The delivery of technical assistance is between 6 and 24 months, depending on the requested activities, and then followed by on an ongoing basis, monitoring and evaluation during the project and also after the project. Now let's go step by step, and we start with the request submission. So interested parties in developing countries can contact their national focal point, the NDE, to request climate technology assistance using the request template that is here on the right-hand side. I will show you this request template in a minute. The NDE then confirms the alignment of the request with its national climate priorities and passes it along to the CTCN. Requests can be submitted on a rolling basis. You can also submit several requests at the same time or a week later or whenever it suits, basically. Obviously, you can also co-develop a request with some of the interested parties, interested national parties in your country. And it can also come from your institution specifically. If there's a request coming from the Ministry of Environment, for example, if you're representing this institution, then that is also totally fine. Some best practices are to identify or align climate technology needs through national strategies such as the TNAs, so technology needs assessments, technology action plans, national adaptation plans, and LTLEDs. So to basically take prioritized technologies from these documents and receive technical assistance from the CTCN specifically on these prioritized technologies definitely helps because basically the CTCN technical assistance will be embedded within a national strategy. Another best practice is to engage with all relevant stakeholders before submission, obviously, that there's no double submission to different international organizations, for example, and to check existing resources on CTCN, the tech website, or also the WIPO Green Technology Database to get inspired by reference projects. So now let me take this opportunity to go into the template of the CTCN request. So here you see the template. It is quite straightforward with a few guidelines mentioned at the top. You can see here in the first box just some administrative information. What is the requesting country? What is the request title? Your information on the NDE and the request applicant. So basically the organization that is the main beneficiary of this technical assistance, saying if it is on agrometeorological information systems, for example, would be the Ministry of Agriculture, and perhaps a specific region or district in your country, wherever a specific technology is piloted. Yeah, you can also add several request applicants. If, for example, we're talking about e-mobility, it's the Ministry of Energy and Ministry of Transport, for example. You have to indicate your climate objective, adaptation or mitigation, or a combination of both. The geographic scope, is this an agrometeorological information system specifically targeting one community, or is it a national policy that we're developing, for example? Or is it a multi-country project that you would like to look into with your neighboring country, for example? Well, developing regional standards for a specific appliance. So this would be a typical multi-country project. Then we will get into the, let me zoom in a bit more, then we would get into the problem statement related to climate change. So what is the problem essentially? Summarizing the problem related to this specific challenge that you're facing, for which you request technical assistance to solve it. Followed by past and ongoing efforts to address the problem. So what has happened in the past and what are you currently trying to do? For example, there's a specific policy that is being developed, and this technical assistance should pilot a specific technology that is linked to the policy. Have there been any other tries in the past that failed to pilot a specific technology, and this is why you would like to ask for technical assistance to implement some of the learnings and improve the next pilot? What are some of the specific technology barriers? What are capacity barriers, financial barriers, infrastructure barriers, and so on and so forth, that hinder national efforts described above? And that CTC and technical assistance could solve, basically. Then just to tick off a box on which area of system transformation and key enabler and cross-sectoral themes a specific technical assistance is contributing to. The system transformation area is mandatory. The key enablers and cross-sectoral themes are both optional. Another categorization is per sector. So please also here just tick the box whether it's water related or agriculture. You can also tick several boxes. And then we're getting into the main content of the technical assistance form. So what is the technical assistance requested? There we would like to know what is the overall objective of the technical assistance. What are the different anticipated groups of activities performed during the technical assistance? So, for example, you're looking into a net metering policy. What is the current grid? What is the current grid, the grid capacity? What is the renewable energy capacity? So there's some market research at the beginning taking place. There's perhaps a policy review taking place before you're developing the policy, and there's a certain process to follow with the policy. So all of these activities you can detail here, and you will wrap up the session with the anticipated products to be delivered. So a completed market assessment report, a draft policy, a capacity building report, and so on and so forth. So these are the different products. Then there's a section on the expected time frame. What is the expected time frame here? You can simply put, we would like to complete this project in 12 months or in 15 months or in 18 months. You don't need to be very specific on already the timeline and so on and so forth, but just an estimation of how much time you would like this project to be concluded, or how much time you think it would take. Then followed by a box on the anticipated gender and other co-benefits from the technical assistance. So here you have some reference material that you can look at from the CTCN website to describe what are the gender and co-benefits of this technical assistance. followed by the anticipated follow-up activities. What I mentioned earlier, it's always good to submit a technical assistance already with an exit plan, let's say, afterwards. What happens after the technical assistance? Yeah. Followed by key stakeholders. What are the key stakeholders that should be involved, that are involved, that were consulted during the preparation of this technical assistance, and what are their roles to support the implementation of the technical assistance? Then an alignment with national priorities. So, for example, is this request linked to the NDCs? That's a mandatory requirement, for example. Yeah, is it somehow referenced in the NDCs? Is it referenced in the TNAs and TAPs? Is it referenced in the national adaptation plans? Is it referenced, for example, in the GCF country program? None of these are, except the NDCs, none of these are mandatory, but it's always good to create these linkages. And then some information on how this request was developed. You can basically, mention, okay, there was a conversation, or this stems from a conversation from the, from the TNA working group or TAP working group, and it was concluded that this would be an important request to be supported by CTCN. So just some background information, nothing too extensive. You can reference some background documents here as well, if you like. And finally, in case you are coordinating this with the NDA, so with the Green Climate Fund, you can indicate this here in case you're, for example, interested in scaling this up through the GCF. So the financial mechanism afterwards, you can tick the box here with the NDA, whether there was an initial engagement or an advanced engagement with the GCF NDA, and he or she is invited to also add the signature here. And then finally, there's just an information on monitoring and impact of the assistance, that you consent or affirm that processes are in place, that you're capacitated to do monitoring and impact assessment to some degree for the technical assistance, and your signature. And that is pretty much it for the technical assistance request form. I would move on to the next document now. Well, first of all, the request evaluation. Just to mention, once you have submitted a request, we will evaluate it within the CTCN based on a standardized framework. You can see it here. To prioritize a technical assistance request, it must meet the two compulsory criteria 1 and 2, alignment with the existing program of work and alignment with the key themes of the technology framework of the Paris Agreement. And then additionally, in order to be prioritized, it needs to comply with 4 out of the 6 remaining criteria below, including whether it was submitted by a LDC or a SIDS, or by a country that has not received technical assistance in the last 5 years, taking into account regional balance, a balance between mitigation and adaptation. The request has the potential to contribute to systems transformation nationally, regionally, or internationally. The request is part of a multi-country approach to allow regional bundling, or prioritizes South-South and bilateral collaboration, and so on and so forth. Or the request is developed with the engagement of various national climate-related focal points, enables leveraging of public and private finance, and so on and so forth. And finally, the request promotes gender equality and or the empowerment of youth, indigenous peoples, and local communities. So bearing in mind somehow that these are some of the prioritization criteria for requests, you can also, and these are quite straightforward and evident benefits that a CTCN technical assistance could provide to the country. Bear them in mind when you submit a request, so that it also gets prioritized. Now, this is not the request, but the response plan template that we could look at briefly. But this document, the response plan template, is a document that will be mainly led by the CTCN. So I won't dive too much into the details here. You will be consulted, and you will be required to sign this document in the end. but you will learn more about it during the process. But in short, it basically includes a more extensive background and problem statement. It includes a much more extensive logical framework of the technical assistance with different activities, a timeline, or different outputs, activities, a timeline that will be developed, some mandatory activities at the top that implementing partners are required to complete, such as a monitoring and evaluation plan, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so here, detail of outputs and activities, and then we will dive a bit deeper into the resources required. All of this will be developed by CTCN in consultation with you. So we are very much dependent also on your estimations, for example, logistical support that needs to be provided to participants, how much does a meeting venue cost, and so on and so forth. This will be a dialogue. Then we will define together the profile and experience of experts, usually a combination of international and national consultants that we would prioritize here. And then several blocks of information on the intended contribution of impact over time, the relevance to NDCs and other national priorities as stemming from your request, the linkages to relevant parallel ongoing activities as stemming from your request, the anticipated follow-up activities, also from already included in the request, some more details on the gender and co-benefits, the main country stakeholders. So a lot of this, if you completed it extensively in the request, will be mostly a copy and paste, and then a reference to the SDG contributions, and that is and a classification of technical assistance according to an internal classification system, basically. But all of this is quite straightforward. I think the main part of this document is really the detail of outputs and activities. But as I said, this will be led by CTCN, and then in the end, after consultation and your agreement, the NDE and also the main proponent, so the main beneficiary in the country, for example, Ministry of Agriculture, would sign this document. Now moving on, this was response plan, sorry. This was the response plan design here. So here, maybe in summary, the best practices are to properly involve all relevant stakeholders in the preparation and review of this response plan to really sort out any issues before we start bidding and implementation, to prepare resources and data that are relevant for implementation. For example, working in the cement decarbonization and requiring the data collection from cement plants. It is important that this data is somewhat prepared and that cement manufacturers are sensitized that there will be data collection happening so that we don't face any challenges further down the line. A clear setting of expectations for all activities and an anticipation of follow-on activities and financing is quite important during the response plan design. So this template, we already did it. Now going to the bidding process. So the bidding process, the CTCN, once the response plan is signed, prepares the bidding documents, and these are corresponding one-to-one the response plan activities. The competitive bidding is conducted through the United Nations Office of Nairobi, UNON, abiding by UNEP rules and regulations. Consortium partner or existing and new network members can respond to the expression of interest and thereafter to the request for proposals. Even those institutions that are not part of the network yet, they can basically submit an application to the network and at the same time bid. So you don't need to have the confirmation at the moment of bidding. A weighted technical evaluation by CTCN and financial evaluation by UNON of bids is conducted then. During this bidding process, because of rules and regulations of UNEP and UNON, the involvement of the NDE or beneficiary is not possible. So the moment that you sign the response plan until the moment that the implementation partner has been selected will be done within or internally, and you will be notified by the implementing partner. But obviously all the criteria that will be defined beforehand in terms of the team setup, in terms of the requirements, in terms of skills, the activities and outputs and so on, all of this will be defined by us together, so that we can be sure that the implementing partner is corresponding to the requirements. So here on the right-hand side, you see the different pass and fail and scoring criteria. These are internal requirements. Just to say that there's a big emphasis on a strong national team. So a statement to not subcontract more than 50% of the budget to allocate it to the work to a local team, as well as a commitment or letter of partnership with a local organization with clearly defined roles, and at least 25% of the budget is important. So we don't want international bidders to, you know, do all the work without any national team, because this won't work. But at the same time, we also don't want international bidders to subcontract everything and just benefit basically from this technical assistance whilst not doing any work, and giving everything to a local partner that maybe has lower rates. So that is a key pass and fail criteria through which we ensure that there's a strong national team as well. And different other criteria that of secondary nature in terms of the implementation of the substantive work. Now, starting with project implementation, I brought you here a little overview. So the network member selected through a competitive bidding process implements the project according to the response plan that was signed by you. At the beginning of the technical assistance, the network member or implementing partner will develop a monitoring and evaluation plan, detailed work plan, and gender assessment and action plan. I'll get to this on the next slides. Regular project steering meetings will be organized to provide updates. Deliverables will be shared for review and approval with you as the NDE and the proponent. And the CTCN conducts quality assurance of deliverables and regular monitoring and evaluation. So you can see the implementing partners here on the right side, providing technical assistance to the NDE, project proponent, and the CTCN. There's reporting happening from the implementing partner to the CTCN, and there's ongoing coordination happening between all the parties, basically. Usually we are coordinating this through a project working group or a steering committee, so that there's regular communication. But generally, there's a contractual agreement between the CTCN and the implementing partner, and then the response plan agreement between the CTCN and NDE, and this kind of creates the circle of responsibilities and agreements, basically. Now, lastly, monitoring and evaluation. You can see here that on the timeline of beginning, during, and after the technical assistance, there's different monitoring and evaluation activities happening, done by different stakeholders involved. At the beginning of a technical assistance, the implementing partner is required to develop an M&E plan, monitoring and evaluation, to define performance and success indicators for the technical assistance, and a gender assessment and action plan, in short GAP, to assess and define actions for gender mainstreaming. These documents will also be shared with you at the beginning of the technical assistance, so that you have it for your records and can comment on them as well. During the technical assistance, there's regular progress reporting happening through the steering committee or project working group by the implementing partner. And finally, in the end, there's 2 documents that will be developed. One by the implementing partner, a closure report that ties back in with the M&E plan to report on the successes and results of the performance and success indicators that were defined at the beginning. And the second document is an NDE feedback form, where we would ask you as the NDE and also the proponent to provide feedback on the implementation and define the next steps after closure of the technical assistance. Then, as mentioned before, after the technical assistance, there's a post-implementation form that will be shared twice with you after the closure. And this is to provide updates on post-implementation progress and impact after technical assistance, not on an annual basis. This has to be corrected. So here I would like to, let's see how many, well, M&E templates. Yeah, I will mostly dive now into the 2 templates that will have to be completed by you. I'm just checking quickly the time. We're a bit behind. Well, no, we still have a bit of time. Perfect. 7 minutes. So let me dive first into the NDE feedback form. The NDE feedback form, as mentioned, will be completed by you at the end of the technical assistance. And this will be an opportunity for you to share how satisfied you are with the technical assistance that was delivered and what are the next steps, basically. So after a few, administrative information up here, we will straight go into part 1, feedback on technical assistance delivery and achievements. And we will first ask you on the timeliness of assistance. Different questions. Was the response plan designed in a timely manner? The final products have been implemented and delivered in a timely manner. So you can always put a scoring and then provide some comments and justifications for your scoring. The appropriateness of technical assistance. So the technical assistance activities have been well suited to the expressed needs and requirements. So in line with your request of the request of the technical assistance. And the final assistance products effectively address the expressed needs and requirements of the request for technical assistance. So this is basically the two regarding to the appropriateness of assistance. Continues further here, the extent to which the assistance provided involved the private sector. So here depends also on the type of project, obviously. The extent to which gender considerations have been mainstreamed in the assistance also depends a bit on the technical assistance. So you can score here. And then part 2 focuses on feedback on successes and challenges. What aspects of the CTCN support contribute to success of activities after completion of the technical assistance, and why is this the case? Yeah, so what worked well basically in the technical assistance? Was a strong working group set up that kind of can carry on now the activities, for example, and so on and so forth. So we would like to hear from you some of that feedback, and then part 3 is focusing on the next steps. Just in a few bullet points, what happens now? A draft policy has been developed. Well, this has to go for a public consultation period, and it has to go for Parliament, perhaps. A pilot project was delivered. Well, now we will think as a next step, how can we scale this up? So these are some of the next steps that you can mention here. And finally, if you want to provide any additional information, feel free to do so here. So this is the document that you submit immediately after the technical assistance concluded. And then in relation to this document, 1 year or 1 to 3 years or 2 to 4 years after, so at 2 times basically, you will be asked to provide an update on the post-implementation success. So let's say this year in 2025 you have completed the technical assistance. In 2026 or 2027, 1 to 2 years after the technical assistance, we will ask you to provide us an update. Yeah, and instead of just sending an email or doing a phone call and asking, hey, how did this work out? We are sending you a template, and this template basically includes a couple of questions. So progress indicators here, part 1, technology innovation implementation, where any technologies developed, deployed, or scaled up as a result of the technical assistance. If yes, provide a few details on it and how did the NDE and project proponents go about it, basically. Enabling environment technology pathways, where any policies, laws, regulations, strategies, roadmaps, or agreements officially adopted or implemented as a result of the technical assistance. So after it, yes or no. If yes, provide some details. Capacity building, where any additional capacity building, training activities delivered as a result of technical assistance, yes or no. Provide details. Stakeholder engagement, where any collaborations and partnerships facilitated as a result of technical assistance, yes or no, provide details. And then we get to the impact indicators, and these impact indicators for now they are optional. So please only fill this part out if you have this information readily available, because it can be quite time consuming to otherwise gather this information, and that ties back in with some information that the implementing partner was requested to develop earlier, and this is mostly related to, really the climate impact. So 2, 3, 4 years down the line, did this technical assistance actually lead to reduced emissions? And if yes, is it actual reductions or anticipated reductions? And what is your methodology to calculate this, basically, to measure it? So this is for mitigation related projects, and then some core impact indicators that are more qualitative nature. Here, has this technical assistance further down the line contributed to an improved infrastructure and built environment, ecosystems, biodiversity, economic health, well-being? So a few words on that in case this the technical assistance contributed to it. And then for adaptation related technical assistances, what are the number of direct and indirect beneficiaries? Is it actual numbers or anticipated numbers? So for example, an early warning system, flood early warning system, which community benefits from this platform or this system that was developed, basically? How many people live in these communities? What are their benefits that were provided to them? And the last indicator is whether any funding was leveraged as a result of the technical assistance, different types of funding. Is it public or private? Is it national or international? And basically just to state the amount here. So here, public funding mobilized, international sources, international sources, and so on and so forth, and additional information in case you want to mention anything. So that is, it sounds like a lot now. Sorry to overwhelm you with all of these different templates, but just remember that this is stretched over, a 2 years time horizon, all of these different templates. So you don't have to develop everything at once, but it will be basically, maybe one template a year or every 2 years for a technical assistance, just to remove your worries a bit with that. So I think with that, let me see. Well, there's one last part that I would focus on now, the last 2-3 minutes, which is the NDE logistical support that was mentioned briefly earlier. So NDEs have access to logistical support for preparatory and follow-up purposes for technical assistances. Each NDE can submit one request per year for up to $5,000. Types of activities for logistical support include 2 different modalities. One that focuses on anything that happens before technical assistance, so preparatory, organization of national climate technology workshops to promote CTCN, engagement of key stakeholders to ideate and develop the process for scalable TA requests, and so on and so forth. So this is something that especially new NDEs can do today to basically promote and establish the CTCN opportunities for the country a bit better. And then modality 2 focuses on everything that happens after TA implementation, so monitoring, reporting, and follow-up. And I will dive a bit into that template now as the last template, but it's very short, promised, only 2 pages. After some context information, just describe the objective of the request. So is it for something that happens before or something that happens after a technical assistance? What is the expected activities? Do you want to organize a national workshop, for example, with different stakeholders to sensitize them on CTCN? Or do you want to organize a consultative meeting for a concept node that was developed as part of the technical assistance, after the technical assistance, before submitting it to, for example, the GCF or to the GEF or to the mitigation action facility, and so on and so forth. So here you can basically describe the different activities, and below describe the expected results. What is your anticipated budget for the different budget categories: venue, travel allowance, IT, material, and put a signature. So I think this is quite straightforward, and how this logistical support is provided. The CTCN basically can't transfer this to an individual person, obviously, but we would require to do a small-scale funding agreement, most likely with your institution, and then funds would be basically made available to your institution. Now, I think this concludes the presentation, and open for any questions now. Yes, please, Marshall.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. It was very informative for me. But I just have one question about the limits. Could you clarify if there are any limits to the resources or support that countries can receive under the CTCN technical assistance? Like, or maybe to say it in other words, are there like what are the resource capacity?
That's actually an information that I totally forgot, which is the most important information. Technical assistance is limited to $250,000 well, actually now to $300,000, as recently amended by the advisory board. So $300,000 per technical assistance request. And just to highlight here that for example, procurement, this is limited to around about 20% or so of these 300,000. So this would be $60,000 that could be dedicated to, for example, hardware procurement, not in terms of purchase of laptops and infrastructure and so on, but rather in terms of if a specific technology is piloted, for the technology pilots, for example, smart meters or solar PV for a solar project or something like this, as a demonstration project. So there's a specific limit to hardware procurement. But yes, 300,000, the short answer. Isaac?
Thank you.
Actually, I wanted the same question, ask you use the same question which my colleague Marsha raised regarding how much money and allocations for technical request. We know that there is some ongoing discussions, negotiation process ongoing in UNFCCC regarding technology mechanism and financial mechanism and its interlinkages. And also about the capacity, how to enlarge the capacity of CTCN. We hope that in Belém they will have the tangible results over these questions so that the next upcoming years we can benefit the potential of the CTCN more widely. I'm asking about the deadlines, whether you have any deadlines or to announce for the submission need to be met within some period, or it is open through the year. Thank you.
So the submissions can be done on a rolling basis. You can submit at any moment. Just to tell you that obviously there's an internal kind of budget cycle or budgeting cycle at the CTCN as well, where our budget for the next year is usually approved by the advisory board in the September advisory board meeting. So at that moment, we really have clarity on what the budget is for the next year. Usually we start discussing also technical assistance requests and so on during the NDE forum, and thereafter you can submit, but it's really on a rolling basis, and it might just be when you submit something at the beginning of the year and the budgeting has already been done for 2026, for example, or for the specific year, that we would allocate this for the next year, and then there will be a bit of delay between the submission when you submitted something and when it is actually picked up. But you can submit at any time. Stephen?
Yeah, thanks, Valentina. I just wanted to highlight one of the things that Valentin mentioned, which is the role of the network members in responding to technical assistance requests. So one of the most useful things that NDEs can do is encourage qualified institutions from your countries to join the network so that they can perhaps broaden their their markets to other countries, but also participate in capacity building as well as technical assistance requests. So this is also a way of strengthening a national system of innovation as well. So that's one of the things that NDEs have generally done is encourage research institutions, relevant businesses, and so forth to join the network, which is of course free of charge. Over.
Arista, please.
Yes, thank you so much for the questions. Aysel, I just want to come back to your point about the linkages between technology mechanism and financial mechanism. That is quite a very important point while parties are discussing it in the context of the negotiation on that item. Also on the review of the function of CTCN and so on, that hopefully to enhance the capacity of CTCN to further support the countries. I'd like to make a point because what we also learned from our past few years is that strong interactions and coordination between NDEs and the focal point of financial mechanism, which is the JEF focal point or the NDA of the GCF, we found it is a very, very important and is a very key. So the CTCN in collaboration with the GCF, for example, this year has tried to contribute to strengthening these linkages or the interactions and coordinations, because there are a number of things that, for example, when you want to access the readiness, you will need to actually also to talk with the NDE, your counterpart, which is NDE, in order to ensure that the proposals on the climate technology is actually constituting or part of the readiness, national readiness strategy, and so on and so forth. So we are also looking into this aspect, and we really encourage countries also to speak to their counterparts, the focal points of the financial mechanism too. But of course, we are happy also to support you in this regard. Thanks.
Also, there's a question coming from Marina in the chat. Dear Valentin, thank you so much for the detailed presentation. Could you clarify a bit on kind of assistance on LTLEDs? I'm not 100% sure if you mean whether CTCN can support developing LTLEDs or operationalizing or implementing prioritized actions. On the second interpretation, definitely. If there are specific technologies or actions prioritized in the LTLEDs that was developed, the CTCN is a perfect mechanism to provide technical assistance on some of these technologies or actions. For the first potential interpretation, whether CTCN can support developing LTLEDs, I am not 100% sure. Ariesta, would you want to come in on this?
Yes, thank you. I think that is a very interesting question, and thank you for that question. It's just that the country is really looking forward to put into part the national strategies for the long-term emissions, long-term planning, not only on NDC. The CTCN has, I believe, has never supported any development of LTLEDs. However, we support a lot of the development of roadmaps on various things. For example, the circular economy roadmaps, the green hydrogen production roadmap, the cement for decarbonizing in the hard to abate industry roadmap. So we do have extensive experience in developing of the roadmaps. So please talk with us, and maybe this is something that, you know, that where, because our mandate is on the climate technology, so we're zooming a little bit on the area, which is what Valentin mentioned earlier, that's already approved also in our under current program of work, the 5 transformative areas. So if there is anything that we can help in this regard, it is roadmap is still a long-term planning. However, we normally is actually focusing on a certain topic and area. Having said that, what Valentin mentions about the implementation of these national strategies, The CTCN does also have a lot of experience on that because recently we completed the technical assistance to support the development of NDC implementation in waste sector, water and waste sector in Pakistan. So again, like taking one specific part of the NDC, after the NDC has been produced by country and the country come to us, can you actually help us to plan for the implementations in one specific sector? And we did that, and we actually produced quite a bit of a sort of like a plans, but also the concept note to take the activities within the implementation of NDC in that sector forward, basically to bring this to a funding entity for potential funding. Thank you.
Fantastic. I see Heike, you raised your hand. Please come in.
Yes, thank you so much, Valentin, for this great presentation. A few quick questions. One, can you please share a few examples of the national workshops happened before? This is quite interesting because me personally, as I work at, we are very much involved in both public and private sectors, and I think we can bring some big engagement. I usually very regularly, almost every 2 months, we do some forums, business, innovations, technology, etc., investments. So that's, I think, quite interesting to plan in the future and for other countries as well. And second, maybe to develop online platforms local in our countries. Do you give any support for online informational platforms? And just a quick thank you to Ariesta and Anastasia for the support recently. We got. Thank you so much.
Great, Heike. Thank you for these questions. First of all, with regards to the stakeholder engagement events, just to mention that this modality on logistical support is something that we introduced very recently. So we will actually have, I think this coming Sunday, the first ever workshop that is supported through this modality in Somalia, if I'm not mistaken. Though outside of the logistical support, other NDEs have organized such workshops in the past, where also CTCN was engaged virtually, such as South Africa, for example. They tended to organize this once a year, where they basically called for private and also public sector institutions to join, and we usually had I think it was like a 2.5 hour or 2 hour session or so that was on one side dedicated to how to submit technical assistance and what is basically what is in line with the technical assistance mechanism, and on the other side also how can you engage as a network member, how can you engage as a private or public sector institution, as a research center, and so on with the CTCN as an implementing partner. So very happy to support this process in Armenia in the coming weeks and months, and all the templates will also be shared with you afterwards. Please feel free to reach out if you need specific guidance on it. Then the second question on development of an online platform, CTCN has supported developing different pilot platforms, whether it's on early warning systems, whether it is on agrometeorological information systems. I've done this reference a couple of times. So definitely there is support for that. There is space for developing such platforms. Depends obviously on the details. There's a few things also that probably CTCN can't do, but also bearing in mind the budget constraints, but generally possible. And J1 just mentioned it is true. Actually, Somalia is not the first one, but Cambodia has already organized the first of such scheme, and you can see the slides on the link that she shared. Any other questions on this presentation? Fantastic. So with that, we will break for a coffee break now for the next 15 minutes. So please be back at well, in roughly 15 minutes, and then we continue with 2 country case studies. So see you shortly. Just for a couple more minutes.
Valentin, before I start my presentation, I would like to check if you can hear me well.
We can hear you perfectly. Yes. And feel free to already share your presentation, just to see if everything works smoothly. I've just made you a presenter.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes, you can put it in presenter mode and then we're all set.
Okay, 1 second. How do I do that? Can you tell me?
Bottom right. At the very bottom on the right side, you can, very bottom of the page. There's like these symbols there and exactly. Yeah, perfect. Okay. I think with this, can I just get an indication in the chat that everyone is back? Or thumbs up, that also works. Fantastic. Maybe one more minute. Didn't see everyone yet. In the meantime, I already quickly introduced this next session now. We will hear from 2 technical assistance case studies from the region. The second presenter right now is not yet in the meeting, but hopefully he will join in the meantime. The first presentation will be done by Masha, the NDE from Georgia, who's the head of Climate Change Division, Ministry of Environmental Protection and Agriculture, on the Integrated Monitoring and Early Warning Forest Fires Detection System in the Borjomi Karagoli National Park. And then the second presentation is planned to be done by Mr. Sang-Hyuk Choi, Principal Researcher, International Cooperation Division, Korea Testing Certification, so the implementing partner who implemented the project on modernization of the district heating system and improvements of energy efficiency of buildings in the city of Belgrade. So hopefully he will be able to join in time. But for now, I'm handing over the floor to Masho. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to talk about Georgia's work under CTC and technical assistance. The project called Building on Integrated Monitoring and Early Warning Forest Fire Detection System in Borjomi Karagoli National Park. This project was started when our dear friend and colleague Maya was working for the ministry as head of the Climate Change Division and NDE of the CTCN before me. So I would like to thank Maya for bringing this opportunity and benefit to Georgia. I joined the ministry about a year ago, so I was not involved when this project first started, but I'm very proud to share how it helped us to improve forest protection and reduce the risks of the wildfires. First, let me start by introducing this special place. It's Borjomi Karagoli National Park. Is one of the largest national parks in Europe and the first national park created in independence Georgia in 1995. The park covers more than 107,000 hectares. That's over 1.5 Georgia's territory. And it stretches across 3 regions, Imereti, Javakheti, and Shida-Kartli. About 75% of the park is covered by beautiful old forests, and the rest is made up of alpine and subalpine meadows. This park is also one of Georgia's top ecotourist destinations. Every year, thousands of visitors come to hike, camp, and enjoy nature. So Borjomi Karagoli is not only nature treasure, it's also an important source of life and livelihoods for the people who live nearby. On this slide, you can see a few of the animals that live in the park. Borjomi Karagoli is a global biodiversity hotspot, which means it has many unique plants and animals found nowhere else in the earth. There are more than 1,200 plant species and 64 types of mammals, including 11 that are only found in Caucasus and 8 species on Georgia's red list. Some of the most famous animals include red deer, chamois, brown deers, wolves, and lynx, as well as 20 different bat species. Okay. But this amazing biodiversity faces growing threats from forest fires. In the past years, forest fires were very rare in Georgia, but today scientists say that we are entering a new time where they call the fire seasons, and sometimes our country never had before. So, the major wildfire in 2008 and 2017 destroyed large forest areas and caused serious damage to the environment and local communities. Climate change is making this problem worse. So we now have the hotter temperatures, longer dry periods, and less predictable rainfalls. Until recently, we relied mostly on rangers and local people to watch for fires with their eyes and with no early warning systems or modern technology. So that often meant fires were discovered either too early, too late, or they had to already had spread widely. So these fires are not only destroying forests and wildlife, but also harm tourism, like local economies and our climate goals. To deal with this problem, Georgia, with the support of the Climate Technology Center Network, started a project to build an integrated system for monitoring and early warning for forest fires in Borjomi Hargali National Park. The main goal was to reduce the risk of uncontrolled wildfires by detecting them early before they spread. And the system brings together different modern technologies and tools. These are the satellites that watch the park from the space and can detect heat or smoke. AI-powered cameras that analyze live videos and spot signs of fire automatically. Drones and the ground sensors that measure heat, smoke, and air changes. All of this information is sent to a central platform where artificial intelligence helps analyze this data and alert rangers if there's any possible fire. When the system detects something unusual, it sends automatic warning to park staff and then the relevant agencies so they can respond quickly and prevent the fire from spreading. And this system also stores images and the local data, building a database that helps us learn where and why these fires happened and how to prevent them in the future. Another big part of this project is training. They train the rangers, administrators, and agencies how to use the systems and how to act when the alert comes in. We also worked on standard procedures for fire prevention and the response and restoration. Although the project benefits over 174,000 people, both directly and indirectly, including local communities, national institutions, and visitors. It also helped strengthen teamwork between the ministry because there's an agency of the protected areas, which is the partner agency for this project. And this project, this corporation was one of the biggest success for us. And just to tell you very shortly, this project was a very good experience for us. This was for me, it was very beneficial. And when the nature is healthy, I believe that you agree, all agree that communities grow stronger and economy does better. So as Georgia continues to prepare for the national adaptation plan, we see this as a great potential to replicate and expand the system for other forest regions, especially since 43% of Georgia's territory is covered by the forest. Thank you. This was my presentation. It is a wonderful project and the support it provided. Fortunately, as I mentioned, I didn't have yet like the experience with the process, how it started. I don't have the experience, how the detailed knowledge of how it works, but I'm very hopeful that for the upcoming NDEs forum and capacity building training sessions will teach us exactly how to request more and more very beneficial projects for our region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. Fantastic presentation on the on the adaptation side, digitalization. So really a great showcase of technical assistance in the region. Now passing to the second presenter, Mr. Sang-Hyuk Choi, Principal Researcher, International Cooperation Division at the Korea Testing Certification, who will shine light on a technical assistance to deliver to Serbia a few years ago. Mr. Sang-hyuk Choi as part of the implementation or support team on the technical assistance on modernization of the district heating system and improvements of energy efficiency of buildings in the city of Belgrade. Please, Mr. Sang-hyuk Choi, the floor is yours. You can share your presentation as well.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Now I'd like to share my presentation on, give a second, please. Okay. As Mr. Valentin introduced me, my name is Sang-hyuk Choi, and I'm a principal researcher at the Korea Testing Certification Institute, KTC. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you today our cooperation project in Serbia. The project is focusing on district heating and smart metering system. Actually, I carried out this project as a project manager, and this project was carried out from 2001 to 2023 as part of our international cooperation effort to promote smart energy management and support renewable energy transition. During this presentation, I briefly introduced KTC first and outline of the project, and then I'd like to share the result of the project. Let me begin with a short introduction of KTC. KTC is a comprehensive testing and certification institute in Korea. KTC is a subsidiary of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy, and a central government agency in Korea. Our main area includes legal methodology, electrical and electronic equipment, and energy and carbon neutrality. As you know well, the world moves toward green transformation, so we have identified several strategic focus areas, including electric vehicle, battery, and renewable energy, hydrogen, and carbon reduction technologies, and so on. And one more thing I'd like to introduce of KTC is about the international cooperation. We have many experience in international development cooperation project, particularly in the field of testing and certification, as well as the legal methodology. So we carried out around 25 projects over past 10 years with countries such as Serbia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Kazakhstan, Ecuador, and Costa Rica. So like this cooperation, KTC have many experience for whole procedure of ODA project to make a plan, secure funding, and conduct the project successfully. So now let's move on to the main topic. Our cooperation project is the name of the project is the establishment of a monitoring system based on IoT for district heating and establishment of renewable energy network plan in Belgrade city. The project was started from 2021 to 2023. The project was cooperated with the Belgrade District Heating Plant, JKPBE, And also the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Belgrade City also actively supported the project. The main goals of the project were to establishment of smart metering and monitoring system. And second, to develop a roadmap for district heating network integrated with renewable energy. And lastly, we'd like to strengthen the capacity of related Serbian experts. Through this cooperation, we aimed to demonstrate how digitalization and data-based monitoring can be improved energy efficiency and reduce carbon emission in urban heating system. The first activity is the smart metering and monitoring system. I'd like to introduce the system of the monitoring. Heat meter and IoT device collect real-time heating data and transmit it to cloud-based home energy management system, HEMS. The HEMS platform provides each household with detailed information on energy consumption, usage analysis, and alert function via web or mobile. To establish this system, firstly, we installed heat meter and smart monitoring equipment in 50 households in Belgrade, as pictured below. We choose an apartment and exchange existing heat meter to smart heat meter with IoT device. After complete the installation, we developed the monitoring system software platform, and we trained officers who will be in charge of the system management to support heating, smart metering, and monitoring demonstration system, setting, and operation. During the commissioning, the smart metering and monitoring system, we collected and analyzed the data measured by the heat meter. The graph below shows an example of the data analysis result it obtained from the system. The monitoring system allows real-time tracking of heat usage, and it allows display the expected monthly usage based on the consumption pattern. Therefore, users can monitor their predicted usage and make effort to reduce heat consumption accordingly. As a result of monitoring, the usage in January was 11% reduced compared to the December. Even though the average temperature in January was lower than in December, the heat consumption was reduced. So this is just one case, but it suggests that if this system was expanded nationwide, it could lead to a significant reduction in energy consumption. And next major achievement was the roadmap for the district heating network in Belgrade. We began the researching by conducting comprehensive survey of the current status of Belgrade's district heating system and network. We visited many sites of heat source in Belgrade. And then we have collaboration with the local experts from JKBPE and a professor of the university in Belgrade, and we developed a roadmap that connects district heating with renewable energy source, such as biomass and solar energy, solar thermal energy, and and so on. Yeah. This roadmap was designed to align with JKPBE's policy priority, considering each heat resource's condition and technology feasibility and construction scale. You can see the brief result of the analysis of condition, applicable technology for each heat sources. Considering the condition of site, a series of the technology such as solar thermal, geothermal, hydro energy, and so on. And based on our analysis, we assessed 11 potential heat sources across Belgrade. Among them, Novi Belgrade heat source was found to the most effective in terms of CO2 reduction per investment cost. This analysis will serve as a valuable reference for the future investment decision. Finally, we organized an invitational program in Korea under the title of Roadmap of Establishing District Heating System Network Incorporating Renewable Energy. Through this program, Serbian officials visited Korea to observe our smart metering system and the renewable heating technology in practice. With this project, we could find the possibility by combining ICT technology with renewable energy planning, we can make a district heating system more sustainable and cost efficient and climate friendly. That's all I prepared. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sangyup Choi, for this presentation, and thank you for your availability to jump in also on a short notice to deliver an update of this technical assistance. Just for the other colleagues, for your information, we obviously reached out also to the Serbian NDE. Unfortunately, we were not able to reach him at this stage to provide this presentation. So it is really very, very welcomed that Mr. Sangyup Choi could jump in here and provide this update. With this, we conclude the two technical assistance case studies, and we open the floor for any questions. So please feel free to comment, question, congratulate on these fantastic technical assistances. Any comments? Perhaps I can kick off with a question to Mr. Sangyup Choi. Really fantastic to see everything that was achieved between 2021 and 2023. Are you aware how things evolved with the roadmap that you supported the country with since 2023? Did you get an update from the Serbian colleagues?
Actually, we shared the roadmap in English version to JKPBE and the city of Belgrade, and we'd like to make a follow-up project with roadmap and smart metering system expansion and so on, but we couldn't get some more update from the central government and the local government from Serbia.
Okay, that's a good information. When we get an update also on from the NDE after having reached the institution, we may be able to also follow up on the specific topic and perhaps schedule a meeting to discuss what are the next steps. Colleagues, any other questions?
Not a questions, Valentin, but perhaps if I could go back to Masho and Sang-Yup on any lessons learned in terms of particularly in getting technical assistance onboarded, or if you have any comments on how the implementing partner is selected or the timeline of the project. Happy to to share this information for colleagues here, because I understand that many of the NDEs from Eastern Europe, they don't have extensive TA experience. Thanks.
Actually, the project, the budget of the project was around 400,000 million US dollar. It's not that big budget, so it was applied for the smart metering system was applied for only 50 households. So it's really small, small project. So we thought that this is just starting point, but we couldn't expand it to the nationwide because we need more funding, but it was difficult to discuss this project, make a project more bigger with Serbian government. So I think that we need to make a consensus to make a more big project. Then we need to persuade the European. I don't know the name of the ministry, but a ministry. There is a ministry who in charge of ODA project in the country. We need to persuade them, and we need to persuade in Korean side government. So these kind of things have to be done for new project. So it was really difficult. So I think that Serbian government and Korean government need to chance to discuss these kind of things more actively on online. So the project was finished in 2023, but I think we have a chance to discuss this one. Yeah, that's it.
I'll just make a little comment. Well, we have a very good communication and with the agency, with the implementing partner, it's Agency of Protected Areas, which is under the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Agriculture of Georgia. And as I hear from them, this project benefited them, and we see the great potential to replicate this and extend it to different places as well. So they are very thankful for this project, and as I hear from them, we are going to request additional support to implement and expand this project.
Actually, sorry but I couldn't hear clearly, so I could understand the question clearly.
It wasn't a question. It was Masho answering to Ariesta's question as well.
Okay.
Yes. Any further interventions? Then in that case, we thank the two presenters, Masha and Sangyup, for your presentations. Really insightful and a great demonstration of how technical assistances were implemented in the region in the past. With your permission, we will also share the presentation slides with everyone after this meeting. And with this, we will proceed to the next agenda item, which is an interactive one. This next session will be on mapping and discussion of regional priorities. It will be moderated by the CTCN director, Ariesta Ningrum, and we will kick it off with another round of Mentimeter. So please feel free to pull out your smartphones again, or type in the browser menti.com and put the code here. I will again switch to the browser as well, where you can sorry for that, here. I will navigate these through these questions. Feel free to please join here, scan the QR code. Just for Sangyup, for your information, the questions are directed to the NDEs, so please, you're allowed to follow the questions and so on, but please don't put any information there because it would alter the statistics. So it is mostly for the NDEs directly. And then once we have these questions answered, I will hand over to Ariesta to moderate the discussion afterwards. Did everyone join? We have 8 participants here. Please give me a thumbs up for the NDEs. Fantastic. All right, then we will head right in with the first question. There's already an answer here. Was this from... Did some of you already answer, or is this an old statistic here? I'm not sure right now. Let me actually reset. Sorry for that. Let me just reset quickly, clear the results. Because it might be an old version.
Valentin,
so
I
let's
think
start.
these were the results, because participants can select multiple responses.
Okay, sorry, then I resetted the results. So then let's start again. So the first question: has your country completed a TNA tab, updated NDCs, National Adaptation Plan, or LTLEDs in the last 3 years? Please feel free, if you've selected something before already, to select it again. And you can also select multiple answers, obviously. So if you've updated your NDCs recently and also the NAP recently, for example, you can select both. Okay, perfect. No TNAs and tabs recently, NDCs updated. National Adaptation Plans and LTLEDs. Fantastic. All right. Well, this is to just say this is a great basis, obviously, for looking into these strategies and identify areas of support that CTCN can help you on. Passing to the next question: how well connected are you with the national focal points for GCF, DEF, Adaptation Fund, TNA? From not connected to well connected. Are they in the same institution? Are you going for coffee regularly? Are these your colleagues? Do you know them? Two answers out of 8 right now. So please, for the other colleagues, submit your answers as well. Okay, seems like 3 out of 8. Maybe one more submission. Seems like GCF, GEF, TNA, rather well connected. Adaptation Fund less. This is an important question just to understand what kind of linkages the CTCN or you as an NDE can establish and can harness as well for technical assistances. Do we develop GCF concept nodes? Can we prepare larger GEF projects with the CTCN technical assistances? Can you work with the Adaptation Fund focal point on the Adaptation Fund Climate Innovation Acceleration Program that the CTCN is delivering, AFCIA in short? Are you well in contact with the TNA focal point to understand which are the technology priorities? Okay, we leave it at that with 3 submissions. Coming to the next question. Does your country's current climate technology needs are your current country climate technologies mainly on mitigation, adaptation, both? We have 2 for both. 2 out of 8. One or two more answers. Three out of 8 for both. Very simple question. All right, we'll take it to the next question. Please rank the system transformation areas most relevant to your national context. Here, you can rank them from the top spots to the lowest spot. What are your most relevant areas of support? You can simply drag and drop them, if I remember correctly, on my phone, and then also position them later on, with the top one being top rank, and the bottom one being the least important. Okay, we see water, energy, food nexus in the lead, energy systems, same spot. 3 out of 8. Do we have one more submission from an NDE? Sustainable mobility being the least important at this moment, business and industry. One more submission. If not, we continue to the next question, which is, which sectors or technologies are currently the highest priority in your country? You already indicated more or less the sector with water, energy, food nexus, and so on and so forth. But if there's any particular technologies that you're aware of in the NDCs, in the TNAs, in your national adaptation plans, and so on and so forth, any technologies that you're particularly curious or that are relevant for your country, please feel free to put them here. You can put one technology or one sector per submission, and you can have several submissions. Any submissions? Okay, we have transport. Anything on transport, any specific technologies that you're looking into? Is it digitalization of the transport systems? Is it alternative fuels, green hydrogen, electricity, electric vehicles? Is it more non-motorized transport? So feel free to be a bit more specific as well. Okay, e-mobility. Any other sectors or technologies, colleagues? Renewable energy, okay, cooling, refrigeration systems, or HFCs. Energy efficient buildings. Most of you have indicated water energy food nexus as being very relevant. Any specific technologies in that sector? Green hydrogen, smart water management. Again, water energy food nexus, adaptation early warning system. Multi-hazard early warning systems as well. So far, I see that 2 colleagues have provided these answers. Any other colleagues who can indicate some technologies? Otherwise, we will move on to the next slide. Ten more seconds. Okay, solar energy efficiency, renewables, land use, forestry, high-tech AI. Let's talk about this a bit more. Uncertainty of tax in a follow sector. Okay, biogas, green hydrogen. Fantastic. Okay, with this, we move on to the next slide. What are some of the main barriers to implementing climate technologies in your country? Again, here, one thought, one slide, or one thought, one submission. Any submissions, colleagues? Main barriers? Is it policy and legal frameworks, financial resources? Okay. Public-private partnership, finances, human resources. Also here, financial institution, governance, technical knowledge. I think the usual suspects of barriers, lots of barriers that also CTCN is working on. Lack of new technology information. That's an important one. Okay, and with this, maybe 10 more seconds, and then we go to the last slide. Okay, now the final slide. Which areas have potential for multi-country projects in Eastern Europe? So which areas or which technologies do you think a collaborative approach with neighboring countries would be relevant? Okay, interesting area. Joint early warning systems. Anything in the energy sector, in the mobility sector, water management planning? Okay. Infrastructure interconnectivity. We have 2 participants who submitted. Any third or fourth person? Any ideas on multi-country projects? Forest fire prevention systems. Okay, this must come from Georgia. Water resource management. Fantastic. Okay, and with this, maybe 10 more seconds if there's any last one coming in, and then I'll hand it over to you, Ariesta, to coordinate the discussion. Fantastic. Okay, over to you, Ariesta.
Thank you very much, Valentin. It's a very interesting exercise, and thank you also colleagues NDEs that actually actively participating in this. And it is very interesting result. I will start actually from the beginning because in the last 3 years, none of the countries is actually have undertaken or updated their TNAs or TAPs, but rather all of you have undertaken NDCs, and 2 of you have already developed a long-term low emission development strategy. So that was relevant to the questions that we discussed before, and 2 national adaptation plans. And perhaps like it's just a curiosity from my side, because what the CTCN has been trying to do is also to try to see if the technical assistance is actually have a link or will help the implementation of your national plans, including NDC, LTLETs, national adaptation plans, but also if the technical assistance actually is based on the priorities that you have identified in the TNA and TAPs. So I would be just curious to hear from you. Where are your status of TNA or TAPs? Is it like you have never undertaken, or you have undertaken but not updated, and that was 2001 or whatever? So please feel free to raise your hands on this. Yes, please, Aisel. Thank you for breaking the ice.
Thank you very much for this question. I think in the region we are one of the countries which firstly engaged in the first phase of the global TNA phase in 2015. Actually, we have had prioritized the technologies for adaptation and mitigation at that time, but since that most of the things changed to the climate change, also national circumstances, so we again applied to for having been engaged to the 5th cycle of the TNA process. So we are at the beginning of the project, newly kicked off the project implementation previous months. So we hope that this implementation will contribute to our next plans regarding the technology, also seek any financial support in future. So this is we are very beginning of the TNA process. That's all from my side. But about NDCs we updated in 2023 and submitted to UNFCCC. Now we are working on the NDC 3.0. It will be sent very soon. We are very final stage of completing this process. Also the NAPS, National Adaptation Plan, Initial National Adaptation Plan, was submitted to UNFCCC during the COP29, November 2024.
Aisa, thank you very much. This is very rich answer. Just because Azerbaijan has been doing this NDC or submitted NDC and then NAP, as well as now is in the process of updating the TNA using the phase 5. This is global TNA project, I'm assuming. Yes, that's correct. I'm just wondering if you could share with us like the relevance or if you see any connections between technologies that put forward as part of NDC and NAPS, the kind of so we're just curious about like the linking between the technology identified in different national priorities documents.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, we when starting the project, we know that we have the information baseline on our hand. We had the initial NAP, we had national communications, and first updated NDC. So this has the direct impact to our choices regarding the options which we propose for adaptation and mitigation. Like in the first phase, agriculture was again the vulnerable sector for us, water again vulnerable sector for adaptation, and the energy sector, including the buildings, infrastructure, and every sector, renewable energy. This was for mitigation, and it was also prioritized in our NDCs. And it is now we are looking how in parallel these two processes can contribute to each other. So we are following every step on NDC 3.0. And we are trying to implement it very soon, the TNA project, so that it can, the NDC could benefit from our results. This is how we are seeing this. Yeah.
Thanks very much. This is really super helpful on that. Any other stories or shared lesson learned from this Masho, please?
Thank you. I'll just share a little bit update on where Georgia stands regarding to the policy documents. We have submitted NDC, updated NDC in 2021, and now we are working on NDC 3.0. We're in the final stages. We already have the final draft ready, but we have to go through some procedures internally. As it has to be approved by the government, and we hope that before COP we will have it submitted to the UNFCCC. So now, once we our plan is that after we submit the NDC, we are planning to update our climate change strategy 2020-2030 and action plans, as we have very short-term action plans for climate change, and we plan to update this according to our new targets in our NDC 3. Regards to the National Adaptation Plan, we still have not started yet, but this project is starting under the GCF Readiness Program, and it will start soon. Implementing entity, which is under the Ministry of Environmental Protection, is already in a stage where it will be started soon. And I believe that once we start working on developing this plan, then we will prioritize and identify the technology needs for the adaptation. So I believe that this process is very clear for us, and we know exactly how this process will end. So we have to identify during this project. So I'm sure that we will have some new identified needs for this after developing this national adaptation plan.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Any other reactions? Colleagues from CTCN also, of course, you're more than welcome if you have, and Stephen, of course, if you have any comments or feedback on this. But let me move to which is actually quite relevant also to some of the discussion that we had, because the second question points out to the link between NDEs with the NDA, which is the GCF focal point, with the JEF, with the adaptation fund, in terms of if we're talking about the national adaptations plan, for example, and as well as with the TNA focal point. So any reactions to this? I see that particularly interesting is the link with the adaptation fund national implementing entity, NIE, is actually quite low. I'm not too sure whether this is because like you're not aware of your NIE or the focal point for adaptation fund, or it's simply that there is a different, it seems there is a different level of connections compared to the connection with the NDA and the JEF focal point. And I believe that Haik, you would like actually to come in. It's okay to make intervention without camera. If you wish, I could pass the floor to you first.
Ariesta, thank you so much. I just wanted, just there have been happening many things here locally in Armenia, and I decided to focus on practical programs. And now we have a big biogas plant. And just recently, with the president of Armenia, I was at the United Nations Summit in Spain, Finance and Development, which I presented the program also that I am UNFCCC focal point. And now I want, actually today's meeting is very helpful for me. I'm thinking to organize a maybe online info session for local public and private stakeholders to raise awareness and just identify few projects we can focus on practically, and I will be happy to coordinate that. Maybe one possibly biogas, and there are a few other options. I will update you in the meantime, Ariesta, and then show some good examples in the region. So I hope this year we can, as you say, depending on your agenda, we can have a focus. Because today's session was very informative, and I think local businesses will be very, very interested to identify a few concrete programs we can work on together.
Thank you, Haik. It's sometimes like we could not hear you, or at least I could not hear you, because I think sometimes the connection is interrupted. But I think I got your message, and feel free also to write down your intervention in the chat also. And I see Aisel, you raise your hand, please. You have the floor.
Thank you. First of all, I can say that my Armenian colleague raised a very relevant way for us. It is a very good position to start from simple one to facilitate internal work and seek the assistance from the CTCN colleagues to afford this work, like to have the informative online webinars and something like that. Would be very relevant for us as well. And regarding your questions, I am fortunate that I have all contacts in the Ministry of Environment, GEF, GF, GCF, Focal Point, Adaptation Fund, Contact Point is my colleague. And this is also why important. It is important when formulating any proposal, technical proposal to CTC, and just avoid any duplication, which we have proposed to these organizations, these financial institutions. Actually, we know that this process a bit intensified, and we are working on several subjects or sectors or technologies which we highlighted here. Some of them, for example, in Azerbaijan, we are proposing some. We won after 6 years GCF project on multi-hazard early warning systems and strengthening the climate information in Azerbaijan. It's a very big project. I know that my colleagues, Georgian colleagues, did it before, so they are in the last stage of this completing the process, and Armenian colleagues will start a new phase in next years. So this is there are some of the issues early warning, for example, technology are important. We acknowledge this, but to avoid duplication, as I said, when proposing to you, to CTCN, would be very helpful to directly contact with those people. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Aysel, for the wonderful suggestions. Any other feedback on this with regard to links to the different entities? It is important actually to avoid duplications. And one of the first step of the citizen technical assistant is as part of the citizen technical assistant is to organize a stakeholder workshop. That normally is actually to inform, but also to get the feedback of the relevant stakeholders. We always encourage the NDEs to also engage the relevant line ministers, but as well as potential funding entity. Because what we would like to see is that the technical assistant doesn't stop at the technical assistant, but actually got picked up, and also upscaled. I heard the colleagues from implementing partner in Korea made a point about like the CTC and technical assistant is enough only to help 50 households, but more scale up is actually needed in order to for this effort to make impact. So right from the very beginning, at the design stage, at the early stage of technical assistant, we always strongly encourage NDEs to actually engage with the relevant line ministers as well as the potential entity that might be involved later on down the road. So in terms of the project, implementing the project. So I'm not going to actually ask about the priorities because there is quite a bit of variety, and this is only coming from like a very few NDEs. What we're going to do is that we will perhaps repeat the same questions because there's not many NDEs attending today. Sometimes in the next year before we come together in person to get a more overall views of the different NDEs in terms of the prioritized sectors and technology. So then we can actually design the program for the Eastern Europe NDE Forum much better based on those but one thing that perhaps in the 7 minutes that we have left, you also highlight the barriers, which is it's something that interestingly always pick up during the technical assistance or even in the global stocktake on technology, which is the policy, legal framework, the finance, access to finance, the capacity, technology and knowledge, and the access to information. So this is something that we will also consider in the design of the next year NDE Forum, perhaps also to showcase how these barriers can be addressed, but also in one way is the technical assistance is served to actually help you address the barriers. I would like to give a bit of time for discussion on the multi-country project, because I think this is a very interesting, well, there are only a few of you here, but it gives like an idea particularly on the joint early warning system. I start with the first one that was suggested. Maybe whoever proposed this is actually could pinpoint like in which topic of early warning system that you think it can be considered as a joint or multi-country projects, because each country may face actually a different challenges in terms of the multi-hazard or the hazard in such a way that what is this, perhaps you can elaborate, what is this joint early warning system on which topic? Who would like to start? Please, Asel.
Thank you very much for this important topic. Actually, if you skip this topic, I would raise it again. Yeah, yes. In our region, there is an existing mechanisms between our countries. Like we are downstream country and upstream countries, Georgia. We have sharing the hydrometeorological, for example, data or meteorological data. We have very good consultations. I remember before on forest fire prevention, there was a consultation because the nature has no borders. We have sharing the same problems, and the major forest resources we share also in Greater Caucasus region with Georgia, for example. So this would be very helpful. I think it is also very attractive because in most cases which I observed in your web page, I didn't find any such kind of project proposals. I think this can be open platform for us to consider with my colleagues regarding this, and we also open for any communications. I'm open to discuss whichever topics can be developed together, or this is my preliminary assumptions about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Asel. I think it's very relevant. We also start to see similar requests in Colombia, if I'm not mistaken, which is also the same thing, early warning system for forest fire prevention. I think with the global climate temperature is getting increasing, like, the risk is actually getting higher. But I would like also to hear from others, like perhaps Georgia, how on this, because you already have a technical assistant that's actually addressed this, and what's your view on having like a multinational or multi-country technical assistant in this area?
Thanks for the question. From my point of view, and for our priorities, for example, GCF country programs that we are planning to submit is about the water management and the water resource management. So in this direction, if we include and identify the need for technical assistance or the technical needs that can be supported by CTC, and I have to discuss this, of course, internally with my department and decide, but this could be a very good opportunity, for example, to have a joint water efficient irrigation system, like smart technologies, for example, as a regional project or multi-country project.
Thank you for your intervention. Any other feedback and inputs on this particular one? Multi-country project. Valentin, you want to share how multi-country project, for example, in Latin America or in Africa, is being formulated?
Usually there's a commitment from all the NDEs, then at their national level, but then also together to a specific request. So request can be submitted as a joint request with signatures from each NDE and main project proponent, basically. The request then wouldn't be limited to necessarily to $250,000, but it can also be a larger, or $300,000, but it can also be a larger request at that stage. And depending on how tightly, let's say, this multi-country project is supposed to operate, either we can identify the same implementing partner basically, or put this up together and this a project that is managed by one entity, or we can also have parallel running projects that then are coordinated through like a joint communication platform in a way, or regular meetings where we could coordinate similar projects in different neighboring countries, for example. So there's, depending on the type of request and the type of like integration, the level of integration that we want to have, there's different ways to manage it.
Yes, I think there is a lot to be unpacked on this, and also the fact that we help, the CTCN has helped a number of a multi-country project. It doesn't mean that the uniqueness of the needs of the country is not being addressed. I think in the multi TA project in circular economy, for example, in Latin America, we managed to have like a common framework that address a common issue across the countries, but as well as in targeting individual interventions for each of the countries. So this is something that we definitely can support you with, and perhaps this is for agenda purposes for the next year. That would be good to dedicate the sessions particularly on this to unpack. Okay. I actually would like to close this sessions, but it's unless there are other things to be raised at this point of time. So just to make sure that we are on time also finishing this. It's been like a really great and interactive session. Perhaps I turn briefly to Stephen, like if you have any few words to say in terms of like how the regional priorities, identifications, and the that we have just discussed.
Yeah, thanks, Ariesta. First of all, thank you to Ariesta and to this Secretariat for all the work that's gone into this, and thank you to the NDEs, to the NDEs who have participated. It's been a great discussion. The only thing I'd add to the discussion about regional priorities and potential multi-country projects is an invitation to look at the CTCN strategically in terms of how CTCN support can fit into the work that you're already doing or that you need to do. Many of you are members of other international organizations or regional institutions. I think of something like the energy community in the case of Georgia and the Western Balkan countries, for example. So there's a lot of work that is already requiring, and I'm sure in the Caucasus there are other such institutions as well. So how can the CTCN assist with projects that in a sense you're already committed to, or that you're already progressing through necessary channels? So just an additional thought there. But I mean, as Ariesta said, there'll be a lot of work to prepare the forum next year, and I look forward to continuing to engage in that context. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Stephen. So with this, that I would we have one more session, which is actually the preview of on the in-person NDE forum next year, and then and we already actually discussed parts of that. But I hand it over to my colleague Anastasia to lead this session.
Thank you, Ariesta. In just a moment, I'll share my screen. This will be rather a brief presentation, like an overview based on the previous NDE forum presentations we had in the past in LAC, in Africa, in Asia, and the Pacific regions. And following this, we'd be happy to collect your thoughts and your suggestions, which will help us design the future first ever physical session with the NDEs in Eastern Europe. So the objectives of the NDE forum are usually to strengthen collaboration and coordination between NDEs and technology mechanism, which comprises of CTCN and tech. Our colleague Maya was present earlier here today. Then to showcase regional achievements, so you would know what's happening in the region, what already are the implemented technical assistances, what are the outcomes. Then foster partnerships between NDEs and GCF, GEF, and Adaptation Fund. And following some of the survey and responses today, already see that Adaptation Fund was less coordinated with NDE, it had less coordinated communications with NDE. Last, to support capacity building for identifying, developing, financing high quality technical assistance requests. Also, as part of some sessions, we have as part of the NDE forum, we have interactive sessions to brainstorm and map some of the technical assistance, potential technical assistance that might be implemented in the region. The Eastern Europe NDE forum, dates to be discussed. Usually the duration is 3 days, followed, as mentioned earlier by Ariesta, by the capacity building program. Venue to be discussed. I have a slight note here that following the practice established by our regions, a country that is interested in hosting the NDE forum could submit an expression of interest to CTCN for consideration that the forum can be hosted in their countries. Content. This is rather standard, and also some of this you already had presentations on today, but it will be in more depth and more tailored to the region. So usually you have updates from technology mechanism, tech and CTCN, outcomes of tech meetings, advisory board meetings to the CTCN, then updates from financial mechanism, GCF and GEF. When we have usually sessions on technology trends in the region across system transformation and cross-cutting issues in the region. The forum is usually followed by thematic capacity building workshop topic to be discussed, and as mentioned, our capacity building team usually has a survey to identify the tailored topic for the year for each region, which will be conducted. Then formats are rather standards. We will have expert presentations with different Q&A sessions. We will have ideation labs to design the new TA request and that can come from the country, or as well as multi-country requests. Matchmaking, bilateral meetings with the technical team who will be supporting the implementation of TAs in the region, and capacity building workshop exercises. With this, I will close my presentation, but I open the floor for you to reflect after today, what you already heard, what discussions we had, what are your expectations and your suggestions for the forum that we will be hosting next year for the region. Thank you. Please raise your hand or just unmute and feel free to be the first one to speak.
May I have just one question? Do we have the avenue for organizing the forum events ourselves? For example, some side event can be also organized by our countries. Is that possible under the forum?
Or within the forum as an addition to the forum?
No. On the margin of the forum, you are considering to have several events like interactive dialogues or something like that. Do we also allow to organize some of the, do you give some time slots for the countries itself to organize some events dedicated to that?
I will take it, and then Valentin, please feel free to complement. We have different interactive sessions for the countries. Usually the technical team is involved in the development of the concept note and agenda, but like an event within event, we didn't have this practice. All the activities that we will have within the forum will be focused on how CTCN can better interact with the technical team, how they to ideate the new requests, the new projects, new collaborations in the region. And on the other event, Valentin, please complement if we had any practice in the past.
Well, not specifically. First of all, the venue depends a bit on the host country. In terms of the interactive sessions between NDEs, we talked about this this year after the Africa NDE forum that maybe it would be nice to dedicate a specific slot, you know, a morning slot or something, also just as a free exchange between NDEs. So if this is something, a format that you would like to see, we can definitely time it in. And make space for it.
Any more questions? We have Javon and then Masha. Maybe if Javon, you don't mind, I'll give the floor to Masha first. Masha, you're muted.
I'll just make a quick comment about my expectation for this forum. I believe that it will be a very good opportunity for us to gain capacity building and to exchange knowledge in the region. Because, for example, I shared the presentation today, but I also mentioned that I was not involved in the beginning of this project. And it's very important for me and for other NDEs to fully understand how this process works. Like we heard your presentations today, very detailed and very informative. And now I believe we have a better idea. But once we exchange our views, our ideas to each other, it will help us know exactly what we need, even in our countries and in the region as well. So I believe it will be a very good opportunity to meet all of us in person and discuss it in person.
Thank you, Masha. Javon, Ariesta, you wanted to complement something?
Please, Javon.
Yeah, thank you. So for the other countries, so just to give you an example, Costa Rica and Panama, South Korea and Malaysia were the previous forums and capacity building programs host countries, and they all wanted to have a dedicated session just run by host country within the 3 or 4 or 5 days forum, and use that session time, which is about 1 to 2 hours or maximum 3 hours, to showcase and gather their national perspective and current network members. And this has been standard practice, at least for Asia and LAC, and we're happy to accommodate that if your country is considering to host, or if the region as a whole region together wants to have a dedicated session on bringing network members, which is the potential implementing partners of the TAs. And the note on peer-to-peer learning is very, very well made there. I am also taking note of that. It can really depend on what type of knowledge that you want to exchange. Is it more on the selecting the technologies for the region, or is it more on the writing TA request form, just like what was presented from Valentin? Do you want us to expand on it a little bit more into a workshop format, or do you want to have more capacity on reviewing the response plan or pitching your ideas to the potential donors at the completion or during the implementation of this upcoming TA? So we can think about the project cycle and the relevant information that is needed at each stage of a project, development, implementation, and scale up, and tailor the workshops or the sessions towards that. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Javon, for clarifying that. Ariesta?
No, I think for the time, then it's okay.
Okay, thank you. And any more reflections? Any more suggestions for the next forum. It's also to highlight that earlier we sent the CTC an email, and if you think of anything, please feel free to contact us. We will coordinate internally as we prepare for the forum next year.
Perhaps a question in terms of not in terms of the host country, but in terms of the period. Are there any specific periods, in the region that are very busy, during which it's not recommended to host such a forum, considering also that it's like only 3 days, but still good to consider that?
I believe that September, October is the time for the workshops for us in Georgia. I don't know about other colleagues, but September, October usually is pretty good for workshops.
Did I understand correctly? September, October is good for workshops or bad for workshops?
Yes, it's good for us.
It's
Yes.
good. Okay.
Yes.
And if I
Perfect.
may add the question, if there's any upcoming events run by other financing entities on climate or your partners from the country that can be merged with our program, please do share the information. We are also talking to our partners from the region. However, maybe you get the best information in the most fast manner. If so, we could explore the merging our event to the already planned event for next year.
If no more question, Valentin, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this great discussion. With this, we are closing the NDE engagement of today, and I would like to hand over to Ariesta to provide a few closing remarks on these last 4 hours.
Well, first and foremost is actually thank you very much, all the NDEs from this region that today participated. We understand the other NDEs might be also following the discussion, so we will definitely share this information, the presentations and the recording of the session to all NDEs, so then they can also benefit from listening to your suggestion, your feedback, and our conversation today. And secondly is that I cannot emphasize more that NDEs plays very, very important role in the structure and the arrangement of the technology mechanism. NDE is the focal point for technology mechanism and all matters related to technology in the context of UNFCCC and Paris Agreement. So you are really playing an important key role in this. Perhaps your interaction will be a lot more with the CTCN, given our function as the one that processing technical assistance requests, but also you're more than welcome to connect with our colleagues from Technology Executive Committee. Unfortunately, Maya has already gone. As well as providing inputs to your colleagues who attend the negotiation on climate technology development and transfers with the UNFCCC to make sure that your message is also conveyed through them. So you really have a very key role in this regard. Secondly, we didn't discuss a lot here, but I would also encourage you to also encourage the national entities, institute, technology provider, and solution to be part of CTCN network. And the reason is that we rely on these network members and their expertise to actually provide the technical assistance to the countries, and who is best to actually know about the context, the setting of countries in the Eastern European, other than the organization and the companies that are already active in the region. So please also don't forget to do that, to encourage them to become the the network member of the CTCN, and it's coming time actually, Haik, because we always heard you like championing for the private sector engagement, and this is where actually the private sector are truly engaged in this mechanism, which is through the network member, and they are engaged in providing technology solutions. And second, although we will meet again in person next year, I would encourage you, whoever it is that are already ready, to submit the technical assistance request to us. It doesn't prevent you for doing that, of course. Valentin will be the focal point for the Eastern Europe technical assistance submission. If you have any questions, you can direct the questions to our general email address. And then we'll be happy to respond to that. So I'm really looking forward to work together with you for really encouraging the submissions and the technical assistance requests from this region, but also building the capacity of NDEs, as well as sharing the knowledge and experiences from other regions that the CTCN has already accumulated. I think really Eastern Europe region, we should actually try really to have a bit more of active engagement of the NDE, as well as the active profile of the technical assistance from this region. So with that, thank you very much for your attention, as well as your time that you invest in this. And we look forward to continuing the discussions going forward. And have a nice evening, nice afternoon, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen.
so much.
Thank you so much. And also the colleagues.